And now, introducing the man who could be heard last night screaming from the top of the Bromo Seltzer Tower, "Each team deserves a possession!" The NFL is madness, and so is he. He is Glenn Clark.
Oh, man, you want madness. How about shutting down a ramp completely with no warning that everyone needs in order to get to work in the morning?
Yep.
Thanks a lot for that. Really appreciated that. I apologize. I know we're running late this morning, and certainly was not our plan. Just a hilarious surprise they threw on us for no reason whatsoever. Didn't appear to be an accident. Just appeared to be a ramp shut down. And it's cool. For some reason, Cold Spring only has an exit if you're going north. There's no Cold Spring exit if you're going south, which, why would there be? That would just be helpful.
They were patching the road.
Patching the road.
I saw them the guy just stopped his truck, got out, and just started patching the road.
Maybe
no sign or warning.
Maybe you mention that ahead of time. Maybe make a nice note to people. Hey, by the way, Monday, ramp's going to be closed. Take Northern Parkway. Anyway, sorry. I apologize. That really, everything else was going great. It's a stressful day in general. Like, I got a lot going on. I got a basketball game I got to do tonight, and we are finally, after a very long delay, finally taking everything to Helping Up Mission today that you guys so wonderfully donated to us, and our friends at Blue Line Canine are helping us out in getting us a trailer, and I feel powerless because we're trying to get it done during the show, which means I can't be a part of that process. So just a lot happening. I apologize in advance. This stuff that was thrown at us this morning that we're dealing with and trying to make work. But I am glad that we are finally able to get everything that you donated down to Helping Up Mission. If you say, hey, that I thought it was supposed to go down there a month ago. It was. Unfortunately, we all know what happened in the world, and we just were not able to get in because they have to abide by ordinances and city laws and things along those lines. So don't worry, all that's good now, and we're going to get everything down there, and you're going to be helping out those in the community who most need it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, that being said, we got a busy show on tap here on a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Coming up this morning, it will be great to have Bradley and Nikki Bozeman back on the program. It's been a very long time. I have missed them. It's just a weird way that the schedule worked out this season, but we're glad to have them back, and we want Bradley Bozeman to be the Walter Payton Man of the Year. So we want you to use the hashtag WPMOY Challenge and then the word Bozeman. And if you do, that's a vote for Bradley Bozeman. We will talk to Bradley and Nikki a little bit later on. Also, obviously, I hear their future is a topic of conversation. Speaking of the Ravens, Anthony Levine Sr. and I were tweeting each other on Saturday night. I just saw a tweet that he sent out. I know this feels like an eternity ago because of the other things that happened during the course of the football weekend. But as you'll remember, on Saturday night, the Green Bay Packers were eliminated in large part because their special teams are utter garbage. I mean, just garbage. And when my friend Ken Zales, who I love, screams bloody murder about the fact that the Ravens give away roster spots to special teams players, I always say to him, dude, it's part of football. And while, yes, the most important thing is to have a good quarterback and good receivers and good, the idea that that you're better off using a roster spot on someone who can't help you special teams-wise that wouldn't be a starter than you are on a real special teams player. I've just never understood that thought process. And the Packers are the embodiment of why, you might want to put some amount of priorities. So Anthony Levine Sr., of course, who is a complete special teams ace and has been for the majority of his career, sees it, and he's tweeting about it. And I'm like, man, I get it. I totally understand. We ended up tweeting back and forth for a little while. We're going to talk more about it today. Anthony Levine Sr. is going to check in with us. He, of course, is one of my favorites. Jaylen Smith, Baltimore native, Mount St. Joe alum, former Terp. He's going to check in with us as well, as he's been taking advantage. I know, unfortunately, DeAndre Ayton coming back has limited his minutes again, but when DeAndre Ayton and Frank Kaminsky were out, Jaylen Smith was playing extremely well for the Phoenix Suns and looking like a guy who's going to end up making some real money somewhere in this offseason because the Suns did not pick up his option for next year. We'll talk to Jaylen Smith about that, a little bit about Mark Turgeon, of course. And Jeremy Conn joins us this morning as he does every Monday. So very, very busy show. Today's show is brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. What a day we had at Live Casino and Hotel yesterday. Thank you to those of you that came out and joined us. It was a mob scene. I mean, it was a madhouse inside the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. I have seen few things like it, and it's such a cool atmosphere, particularly like if you don't have a rooting interest in the game, and I did not have a rooting interest. Of course, I had made a few bets, so I had those interests, but I didn't have a rooting interest. I don't like. Do I prefer the fact that Tom Brady is out of the playoffs? Of course. Do I have any emotional feelings towards the Rams whatsoever? Not a one. I am at best neutral towards the LA Rams, and there is still some like distaste about how that whole franchise came about. I wrote about it in my column last week. Like, it's the way that you guys describe Lil Nas X as a music industry plant. That's what this version of the Los Angeles Rams are. They were a plant by the NFL. They were forced. This has to happen come hell or high water. If it means we have to give $1 billion to another city to make it happen, we'll do it. We have to. They're a plant. I don't hate them because of it, because, again, teams move. We know a thing or two about that around here. That occurs, and, yes, of course, they were in L.A. before the whole thing. I don't hate them by any stretch of the imagination. But it's hard for me to feel good about them. They don't really have a fan base. It's Los Angeles football fans. There will probably be as many 49ers fans in the stadium on Sunday as there are Rams fans. I don't feel good for them in any way, but they're not Tom Brady, so there's that. So I've got no rooting interest. Everybody's got bets in. The whole place is bedlam. I mean, it was just insane in there as that fourth quarter was unfolding yesterday. Every play elicited. I felt like I was at the stadium. That's how crazy the scene was. Because that's what you like about being at a sports book. It's not just that people are rooting for someone. They've got skin in the game. So now every play means something to them. And the live betting that was going on, this is the coolest part about watching games in the FanDuel Sportsbook, is the live betting. Because the Buccaneers on the money line moved as high as about 1,400. There was so much money to be made there if you still believe they could come back. And since they have Tom Brady, a lot of people believe they could come back. So as we're talking about it, Rita and I, during the breaks, we're watching people run to the kiosks, run down to the window to put money on the Buccaneers, and they're down by 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter because they've got Tom Brady, and there's this belief that they can come back still. At worst, bet against the spread, but a lot of people betting them outright at that point. I happen to know. I'll just tell you, the most worshipful grandmaster, John Colson, was like, dude, they're at plus 1280? Well, I got to throw at least a few bucks down on that. Rita's boyfriend said to me at one point, he's like, it's reckless that I'm not putting $100 on this. And as it turns out, like, for a minute, when they tied it up, he literally grabbed me by the neck. He's like, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I didn't put money on it when you said something. Now, as it turns out, he wouldn't have won anything, of course, because the Rams ended up winning the game. But it was a scene, man. Like, what an atmosphere that was. It is unlike any experience you can have watching a game. It's why for years people would tell you, you haven't really experienced the NCAA tournament until you've gone out to Vegas. Well, now you don't have to. You can do it right here in your own backyard. FanDuel Sportsbook, it's awesome. I had Cooper Kupp as an anytime touchdown scorer, so I did hit on that one, but otherwise it wasn't a banner day for your boy. I had a Gronk anytime touchdown scorer. That one didn't pan out. I had the Bucks. That one didn't pan out, but it was just amazing. It was just an amazing day. And be a great place to hang out for Championship Sunday. Be a great place to hang out for the big game. You got to get an email in. If you want to reserve a spot for the big game, events@sportssocialmd.com, events@sportssocialmd.com, or events@livecasinohotel.com. Get your table reserved, your spot reserved for the big game. And we're going to be doing more of these events. We had such a good time. We're going to be doing more of these events where we hang out with you and watch games in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. I cannot wait for that.
Man, I got to tell you, my dad,
Yeah.
he must have called me 6 or 7 times yesterday during the Rams-Buccaneers game. I called him to be like, "Are you watching this?" He turned it off. He turned it off. I think
because
it was
it was 27-3 or whatever.
No, he turned it off because as soon as Cooper Kupp fumbled, he said,
"Oh, the Buccaneers are winning."
He says to me, "The camel's in the tent. The Buccaneers are going to win this game."
In the tent.
I've never heard it before. He said, "The camel's in the tent.
I don't know what that means.
The Buccaneers are going to win this game. I can't watch this anymore. Pretty boy Brady." And then he turned the game off.
That's such a weird. What is the camels in the tent? What is that? I would like to know.
I have
you ask him that? I would really like to know what the camel in the tent is. It's I've never heard that before.
And me either. He texted it to me. The camel's in the tent.
It's sort of. I mean, it sounds kind of like the hay is in the barn, Jerry Sandusky's thing. But I don't know where it comes from. I have no idea.
If I ever make it in broadcasting, it's gonna be my sign.
The camel is the tent. I mean, I'm for it. All right, let's talk about it. Yeah, obviously the weekend as a whole incredible. Congratulations to Kyle Ottenheimer. Now I don't know what Satan got in the deal. Like, I hope it was something good. I mean, I don't know exactly what Kyle has to offer in a deal with Satan. Like, I don't think Kyle's soul alone. No offense to Kyle, I just don't think Kyle's soul could be worth it for Satan to do such a deal. But whatever it was that Satan got in return for giving Kyle in 4 utter and complete coin flip games this weekend, including one that was literally a coin flip game, him to go 4 for 4. I don't know what possibly could Kyle have given Satan in that trade. I don't know. I would love to get that answer. Can you see if we can book Satan for the week? Can you see if he's available? If Satan...
Maybe after I get a call back from DJ Cool.
Well, I don't know where things are staying with DJ Cool, but I'll take Satan too. I just like to get to the bottom of what the deal was that Satan gave to Kyle in order to go 4 for 4 this weekend. I would just like to know a little bit more in 4 complete, total coin flip football games. It's got to be a hell of a trade, man. I just can't imagine. Like if you're Satan, do you take the firstborn? Or does it need to be like all of them? Do you need to say, oh, the whole litter is going to have to come my way? Like, what's the trade that you're willing to do that for Kyle, who's not a bad person by any stretch of the imagination, but not necessarily like a saint by any stretch of the imagination either, right? Like, I just can't fathom what it would be that would give Satan the reason to have that play out the way that it did.
Well, it's because Kyle's still allowed to make picks after having passed.
So because you think Kyle already paid his price, this was the trade.
Yes,
he sacrificed his life.
I get to win picks, but I've passed.
Right, I die, but I end up winning picks anyway. I can't take advantage of the $125 because, again, I'm dead, but I still get to win the picks. That's the deal he did with.
That's pretty
makes an amount of sense now that you're talking about it. It does make an amount of sense. Wild weekend, obviously. Wild weekend. The Tennessee-Cincinnati thing, Ryan Tannehill. They have to ask the question in Tennessee. It's a shame because Ryan Tannehill has largely played really well since he arrived in Tennessee. But they definitely, it's the same thing that a lot of teams are going to look around and see Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, who for some reason every national writer wanted to pretend like was dead this weekend. Every team's got to look around and say, are we able, with what we've got, to match up with that? Now, that doesn't mean that there's going to be better available. There's only one Aaron Rodgers who may or may not be available. There's, one Russell Wilson who we think is on the downside of his career. If you're the team that wants to take a chance on Deshaun Watson, I think it's deplorable, but, football's football, and the Kansas City Chiefs have had no problem with deplorable over their last few years. And look, they might win another Super Bowl because of it. It's god-awful. It's just retching.
Can you imagine that Tennessee Titans roster, though, with Deshaun Watson?
Oh, I get it. I understand. Like, they absolutely have to think about it. They have to think about it. In the end, Ryan Tannehill has probably played too well for them to actually move on. But there is an argument to be had. The game came down to a final field goal, right? Like, it's not as if they got their ass handed to them. The game came down to a final field goal. But everybody in the AFC that doesn't have a high-level quarterback, it's the redux of looking around and seeing Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, and wondering to yourself, will our guy be able to break through that? For the Ravens, it happened, right, for a little while. And then they decided they didn't need any wide receivers any longer. They were just like, we can just try it without, right? So that's on them. They screwed that up, but, it's what it is. We can't do anything about it now. But every team in the AFC's got to look and see the same things. Whereas in the NFC, those quarterbacks are older, right? You're looking at a Matt Stafford. You're looking at an Aaron Rodgers, looking at a Tom Brady. Tom Brady, I don't think every year we do that. Could this be the end? I don't see any reason to think that's the case. Tom Brady was outstanding this season. There's zero reason for me to think he's going to stop playing football before he's, say, 50 years old. Aaron Rodgers, again, zero reason for me to think he's going to stop playing football unless, like, InfoWars wants to hire him to a very lucrative deal. There's zero reason to think Matt Stafford would want to stop playing football. I mean, he finally got to a place where, like, there's actual football being played. Kyler Murray maybe is part of the future, but the NFC's in a different place. Every single one of these AFC teams has to look around and say to themselves, looking at the quarterbacks at the top of the conference, do we believe that we can compete with those guys based on what we have? They're all going to be forced to do it. And some of them might make bold moves because of it, right? This is the Cleveland Browns. Essentially, this is what they're dealing with, where they've got a guy who's better than anything they've had in decades. I mean, since Bernie Kosar, he's better than anything they've had. But is he good enough to compete with the top guys in the AFC? That's the question they're asking. The same with Miami and Tua Tagovailoa. The same with the Raiders and Derek Carr, who had nobody wants to talk about, had an outstanding season this year, Derek Carr. But yet they still have to ask the question. Obviously, the Colts and Carson Wentz, they have to ask that question. Every single one of these teams, the Patriots probably have to ride it out with Mac Jones and see if there's a next level that Mac Jones can get to. And there was enough that you saw from Mac Jones to say, hey, you're going to have to play that out, but it's a possibility that you waste an otherwise really good roster for a couple years while he develops into that player, because you can tell there's a difference between Mac Jones and Joe Burrow, right? Like, Mac Jones is a guy you can win with, but he's closer to Ryan Tannehill than he is Joe Burrow at the moment. So the Tennessee is going to have to ask themselves that question. Cincinnati, I can't pretend like I feel great about their chances of going into Kansas City, but they certainly have a chance. They got a quarterback. They can't protect that quarterback and damn near lost because of it. They probably should have lost because of it, but, Ryan Tannehill bailed them out there at the end of the game.
They beat Kansas City towards the end of the season when Kansas City was still playing for the 1 seed.
And I hear you. Watching that offensive line, knowing Kansas City, somehow, some way, Kansas City over the last 2 weeks feels like they've turned into a different team again. Like that they just almost, it's the argument of them being bored during the regular season, right? Like that we're just bored by all of this, and we'll wait until it matters the most. And then we'll go back to being ourselves again. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, I don't know. Like, I'm not, again, it's definitely not they can't win by any stretch of the imagination. It's football. Of course they can win. But, man, it's hard to argue against Kansas City at the moment doing what they're doing. And they don't have – it's such an – look, I get their defense isn't overwhelming. It's not great. I understand that. But they do still have a front. And they do still have – Frank Clark and Chris Jones going up and against an offensive line from Cincinnati that was horrible during the course of that game on Saturday. So that's my blush there. The Green Bay San Francisco thing, I get it. We can say it's all about special teams. And the truth is, for the most part, it was about special teams on Saturday night. But as I said last week, like the bit where the Packers constantly are at home in the playoffs, and can't get the job done, is a weird bit. And I get we were all having fun dunking on Aaron Rodgers on Saturday night, but we're having this is a different conversation. If you don't like Aaron Rodgers, you certainly enjoyed watching that. It is part of his legacy as otherwise one of the most talented quarterbacks to have ever played, maybe the most talented quarterback until Patrick Mahomes comes along, right? Like, Patrick Mahomes, if we're basing it on talent, has already usurped that, but he hasn't had the career, the longevity yet that Aaron Rodgers has. Based on that alone, Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But his consistent failures at home in the postseason cannot go unnoticed. Like, you can't just pretend like they don't exist. And Yes, this is a good San Francisco defense, but let's not pretend like this is an overwhelming San Francisco defense. This is not monsters everywhere on the field. It's Nick Bosa and good players. There's one really special player on that defense and a bunch of good players. And he couldn't get the job done. That's on him. Plain and simple, it's on him. And San Francisco got their own weird situation where, like, Jimmy Garoppolo was awful, but, their defense and their special teams were good enough to give him a chance. And who knows what you're going to get out of Jimmy Garoppolo next week. And I certainly believe San Francisco's got a chance to beat the Rams. How could you not believe that? But you got your quarterback can't play like that. That can't happen. Like, the idea that you're going to win every game that way by just sort of getting lucky and, no, that's not going to occur.
San Francisco has been the Rams' kryptonite recently, too. They haven't had – it's the one team that they haven't been able to kind of get past.
I'm with you, but it's got to involve Jimmy Garoppolo playing better.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be that Jimmy Garoppolo plays that poorly. Like, they're just not going to keep winning games that way.
Absolutely.
You're going to run out. You can get away with, like, one of those, but then at some point you're going to have your quarterback play well. It's – We'll see. It's a bummer because that brand of football just isn't exciting. It's just not exciting to watch a team that's, again, maybe they look more like they did in week 18. And if they do, that's exciting. That's an exciting brand of football. But if they look like they looked yesterday, there's nothing exciting about that. It was a terrible football game that we have fond memories of because it was close and because it was in the snow. Because it was in the snow. And that made it look pretty, and because it was a close football game. But it was honestly an awful football game.
You take the blocks out of that game, and it's a snoozer. You take the blocks out
right.
of the game, and you're asleep on the couch in the third quarter.
Just awful. And then yesterday, obviously, the Rams game, crazy. Just utterly insane. Utterly, completely crazy. But in the end, the Rams made the play they needed to make. Cooper Kupp has been absurd. The Odell Beckham thing, which I admit at the time I thought was a nothing, and I was wrong. It was not a nothing. Odell Beckham has made a massive difference for the Rams and is a huge part of why they're in this situation. Just a huge part of the story as to why the Rams have gotten back here. It's also weird to embrace the Rams because it just feels so much like the Lakers, right? Like just going out and buying guys. Like there's nothing – I get that Matt Stafford individually has grinded and you can kind of feel good for him because he's been through so much in his career, but it just feels like a team of mercenaries. It just feels like the Yankees, You know what I mean? Like we put a bunch of players together. It's not really a team. Aaron Donald would be the exception to that because he's, of course, been there for a while, but it just feels fake. Everything about the Rams feels fake. It feels like, I keep saying, like an industry plant, what the Los Angeles Rams are. But, they made the play when they needed to make the play. They get to move on because of it, and they're hosting the NFC Championship game. And it all brings us to the big one. It all brings us to what happened last night. The hilarity of how quick everything that just happened is the greatest football game of all time. Right? That's just anytime we watch a good football game, this is the greatest football game I've ever seen. It was a really good football game. Don't get me wrong. It was a very good football game. Was it better than the Raiders-Chargers game in Week 18? I don't know that. I genuinely don't know that. Was it better than the Chiefs-Rams Monday night game from a couple years ago that was the greatest Monday night game we had ever seen? I'm almost certain it wasn't, right? Like, it was really good and really compelling, and it was a playoff game, so, it was more significant in that way. But this is just what we do. Whenever we're watching something and it's really good, it's as Chad Duke says, everything's either got to be the GOAT or trash. Like, we have no it's either the greatest thing we've ever seen or it's trash. It was a really good football game. There's no debate about that. And it is, of course, sullied by this insane rule. And it was not my plan for today. My plan was to as I said last night on Twitter, give the Ravens credit. Exactly what they want, they got. The dog is wagged. They fired their defensive coordinator at 5:50 on a Friday afternoon, and by the time we get around to Monday, nobody on the planet is talking about it. This is what they do. This is who they are. They nailed it. Nobody's talking about it, and really never will. And by the way, part of that, and I referenced it in my column, there's not really a whole lot I think that needs to be said. As we said when we did slaps in the helmet last week, the defense wasn't good. That was the side of the ball that wasn't good. Like, we keep pretending like Greg Roman was the problem, and I don't care. We'll get back to that in a second. The defense was the bad unit on this football team this year, by every measure. Now, does that mean I think that Wink Martindale needed to be fired? No, I didn't think he needed to be fired. But as I said, and it's the same thing I'll say about Greg Roman, I don't know what might happen. This happens in football. Even if somebody doesn't need to be fired, sometimes coaching changes are just made. And a coaching change was made. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why it could have been made. Personality conflict, thinking that the system might not fit what it is that you're looking to do. The Wink Martindale defense relied heavily on having an unbelievably strong secondary. And the Ravens, in looking at their math, might be saying to themselves, we just might not be able to put that level of a secondary out there. And if we lose a piece or two like we did this year, we've got to know that you've developed pass rushers that can overcome not having the strongest secondary. And frankly, you haven't shown that. So there's a million reasons why something like this could occur. I don't think it's all that controversial. It doesn't get me all that worked up. The Ravens are going to hire someone to be their defensive coordinator moving forward, and we'll see where things go. They're going to apparently interview outside candidates and not just promote whoever the next guy is on their own. And it might end up being an internal candidate who gets the job, but in the past we've seen them just promote whoever the next candidate was internally. So they might just want a different philosophy. It might be that they're saying to themselves, we're looking around and we need to find a TJ Watt. We need a wrecker. We need somebody, and we haven't had that since Terrell Suggs. And we've got to change our philosophy, and we need someone who envisions pass rushers being pass rushers. We'll see. We'll see if that's what they end up thinking about. There are, of course, hipsters and douchebags who want to, get attention online. And I love you, Andrew Stecca. I'm not calling you a douchebag. You're more of a hipster. Who want, for the sake of being that guy, want to try to defend this stupid overtime rule in the NFL. And there's no actual argument for it. They just say nonsensical things like, well, defense should matter. Well, why does it only matter for one team then? Like, there's no actual defense of the NFL's overtime system. There's no intellectual argument you can make to defend it, other than to just say, either one, you want to be a contrarian for the sake of being a contrarian, right? And I get, we reward that in this world. We reward people that just say anything on social media. Or it's not a problem to you. Like, for example, in Kansas City today, it ain't a problem to them.
Nope.
And they think that people are detracting from them by debating the overtime rule. The rules are the rules. We know that. Nobody is suggesting that they should send an alternate group of electors to the Capitol and try to overturn the presidential election. Nobody's a lot of people are suggesting that. Sorry, I take that back. Nobody's suggesting that we remove the Chiefs from the AFC Championship game next week. We all know what happened. The result is the result. That's it. That's the end of it. Nobody's talking about that any longer. It's a shame that this stupid rule existed for a game like that, but it's over. The Chiefs won the game. The point is we don't ever want to see it happen again, as Chiefs fans know from losing to the Patriots a few years ago. We don't ever want this to occur again. We're sick of it. The NFL drastically changed their rules to massively benefit offense over the course of the last 20 years. And because of that, because they did that, it has made this even more unfair than it always was, and it was always unfair. It was always unfair to say there's a scenario where not both teams get the ball in overtime. And there's all you got to do is get a stop. Yeah, but the other team doesn't have to. And the only reason they don't have to is because they got the luck of a coin flip.
And the Bills have the number one defense in the NFL, and still got carved up by Pat Mahomes, you're basically saying that the Bills should be punished for not being able to do something that nobody in the league has consistently figured out how to do, and that's stop Pat Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in football. They're the best offense in football, and the other team. The bottom line is the other team should have had a fighting chance.
I mean, I agree. The problem we have is that not everybody tends to agree on how to fix the issue, right? The Ravens introduced one of the dumbest things I've ever heard last year when here's how we're going to fix overtime by not letting both teams have the ball. I mean, this insane spot and choose concept. You pick the yard line, the other team gets to pick where they're on offense or on defense. Well, they're always going to pick the 1 yard line, and then you're always going to pick offense. Like, that's not an actual solution to anything. It's just dumb. People throw out wild idea. My buddy Chris Pica was like, why don't we try to bring the Elam ending to football and just the first team to score 9 points wins? How long would it have taken for Ben Roethlisberger and Tyler Huntley to get to 9 points a couple weeks ago? And I'm not, because I love, in theory, I love Chris's idea. I'm all for it. The Elam ending is wonderful in basketball. But you wouldn't be able to do that for every game. Because some games are played in blizzards, and it's really hard to score points in that way. Like, you just can't do it. This isn't hard. We're making it harder than necessary. The rules don't really have to change. It can be the exact same thing. The first team goes down, and whatever they do, the game can't end. The second team gets the ball, and after their possession ends, if the game is still tied, now it becomes sudden death. Because both teams got to see the ball.
Why is this hard to figure out?
It's not hard. We're trying so bloody hard. Look, I'd love the most fair and most equitable thing would be to do it baseball style, right? For there to be innings. You get the ball, top of the inning, bottom of the inning, top of the inning, bottom of the inning, until an inning ends and one team's in the lead. That would be the most fair thing to do. But it's too much. Obviously, it's too much for anybody to comprehend, so we got to try to make it easy. This is not hard. The exact same rule as written, you just remove the part where you say the game can end on a touchdown. Literally, verbatim from the rule book, it's written out, the game can't end without both teams seeing the ball, with the exception of. You just take out the exception. That's it. Problem solved. And then whoever wins the coin flip has a real decision to make. If we take the ball first, then we would be the team that would get it third, hypothetically, and we might have it first when the game goes to sudden death, right? So that would be an advantage. But if you get the ball second, then you know what the first team did, and you can decide if, say, you want to go for 2, should they score a touchdown, you could choose to go for 2 and end the game right there. You actually have a decision to make about what you do if you win the coin toss in overtime. Unlike right now, where obviously there is no decision to make unless you're Marty Morningweg all those years ago. It's just not hard. We're trying so hard. Well, what if we force the first team to go for 2, and then if they get it, they win, and if they don't... Stop it! You do the same thing you're already doing! You just don't end the game on a touchdown. The other team gets the ball. If they score a touchdown, they want to go for 2 and try to win, they can. They go for 1, game goes on, now we play sudden death. And you know what happened? Both teams had the ball. Both teams had their chance. Their offense had to play and their defense had to play. It was football.
How has this not always existed?
I don't get it. We're trying so hard, and it's just not that difficult. Talk more about it. Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil helps extend engine life. Visit your local Jiffy Lube service center. Ask for Mobil 1. When we come back in, Bradley and Nikki Bozeman are going to join the program. It's been a very long time, and I've missed them. We'll talk more about the overtime thing, I promise you. And my column is up at PressBoxOnline.com for you to check it out. And it should not be this difficult. You're watching or listening to Glenn Clark Radio. Duffy's Garage is a family-owned and operated car care facility in beautiful Baldwin, Maryland. An authorized Maryland inspection station and Napa Pro Care Center with ASE-certified techs. Tell them that Glenn Clark sent you and receive 10% off your service with a max discount of $150. You gotta trust where you take your car, so take it to where I take mine. Duffy's Garage in Baldwin. Duffy'sGarageMD.com.
From all of the biggest games to the smallest events, make every bet worth your while at MyBookie. Start by doubling your first deposit instantly with MyBookie's first deposit bonus up to $1,000. Double your money before you even place a bet, and all you have to do is sign up and deposit using the exclusive promo code PRESSBOX at mybookie.ag. If your first deposit is $100, MyBookie adds $100 so you can start with $200 to play with. If your first deposit is $1,000, MyBookie adds $1,000 so you can start with $2,000 to play with. With tons of great games and prop bets to take advantage of this week, there is truly something for everyone. Don't wait any longer. Head to MyBookie today to redeem your double deposit bonus so you can start winning big today. That's promo code PRESSBOX to receive double your first deposit instantly in your account. No hassle, no wait. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
It's another cold winter here in Baltimore, but this time there's no hot stove to warm you up. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, and while there may be no activity in the world of baseball, I'll still be here every week with my co-host Zach Goodman to give you all the latest in the CBA negotiations as teams look to get back on the field in time for spring training. You can watch us live every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or facebook.com/PressBoxSports and listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. So tune in every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon for the latest in baseball coverage right here on the Bat Around.
Glory Days Grill's winter seasonal menu is back with comfort classics like their house-made meatloaf and short rib grilled cheese. It also features the center-cut sirloin with grilled shrimp, the char-grilled pork tenderloin, grilled meatloaf sandwich, smoky thigh wings with Alabama barbecue sauce, and a Brussels and bacon appetizer. All of these items pair well with Devil's Backbone 8-point IPA or their anniversary IPA brewed by Devil's Backbone. And try their seasonal cocktails, Blood Orange Bourbon Cider, Apple Ginger Mule, and Captain's Hot Cider. Find out more and get your order in today at glorydaysgrill.com. Great food, good sports.
Window Depot Baltimore provides the highest quality Pro Via windows, doors, and siding for all budgets. The best is finally affordable. Call them today for a free in-home consultation at 410-941-3499. They also offer Zoom and FaceTime consultations in an effort to practice social distancing. A proud sponsor of the Tyus Bowser Show, you can find out more at WindowDepotBaltimore.com.
We can't imagine why you'd want to, but you can watch GCR live. It's at facebook.com/PressBoxSports and try to guess whether these guys are wearing any pants.
Hey, tonight at 6, Stan the Fan is going to have a great chat with Tippy Martinez and Don Stanhouse. That'll be on Facebook at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you miss it, you'll be able to watch it tomorrow. PressBoxOnline.com/video. Stan the Fan Charles with Tippy Martinez and Don Stanhouse. Oh, and Ross Grimsley's going to be there, too. Really fun baseball conversation coming up tonight. It's been too long. You guys know my affinity for our next guests and everything that they've done, and we're trying to make sure that the Walter Payton Man of the Year is Bradley Bozeman, because the Bradley and Nikki Bozeman Foundation has just continued to do unbelievable work for our community. And, there's this other awkward thing, but we'll leave that alone for a second and hope that that continues to be the case for many years to come. They are, of course, the aforementioned Bradley and Nikki Bozeman, and they're back with us now here on GCR. What's going on, guys? How are you?
Doing good. How are y'all doing?
Everything has been good, man. It's been way too long since I've heard your voices. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning. All right, so do you know, do you get an update? How are we doing as far as the community is concerned when it comes to voting for Walter Payton Man of the Year? Are we letting you down? Do we need to step our game up a little bit?
Yeah, I don't think we're in top 5 right now. But it is what it is. That's kind of part of it. There's some definitely big names out there that are up for it. So,
oh man.
But it is what it is. We're just honored to be a part of such a prestigious honor, and just be in these shoes right now. So just so thankful.
All right, so we got to come up with a stunt then, right? We got to come up with a stunt. If you get into top 5 of voting this week, I'll eat 100 banana mayonnaise sandwiches. How about that?
Okay, deal. That works
Done.
for me.
Done. If you guys get Bradley Bozeman into the top 5, again, use WPMOY challenge and then Bozeman. Right now, you get Bradley Bozeman into the top 5 by the end of the week, and you'll be able to monitor this, right?
Yeah, they come out with weekly updates.
All right.
On who's top 5.
If we get the next week and he's in the top 5, I will eat 100 How much time? In a week? Do I get a week to eat 100 banana mayonnaise sandwiches? What's the number for that? I don't know how
Yeah,
long.
we'll give you a week. A week
A
sounds
week.
good.
100
way.
banana
You can do that in a
mayonnaise
week.
sandwiches. Bradley, what's the most banana mayonnaise sandwiches that you've consumed in the span of a week?
In the span of a week, probably like 6.
Okay. I'm biting off way more than I can chew. I'm still doing it, though. I'm still doing it. That's the way it's going to be. Oh, boy. Okay, so get that in. WPMOY Challenge. Hashtag WPMOY Challenge. And then Bozeman to get your vote in for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. Nikki Bozeman, what's going on with you, my friend?
Hello, how are you guys?
I'm all right. Everything good?
Yeah, doing good.
All
We
right.
are en route to Nashville to go drop some stuff off at a rental house and then go hang out with our parents. They're like, "Are you guys ever coming home?"
When you say rental house, tell me more about that, because I don't like the sounds of that.
Well, and also now I can clarify my Instagram post because
Yeah.
people were freaking out, and that was not obviously my intention. So we are building a house in Nashville, Tennessee.
I'm jealous. I'm
And
jealous.
I know we're so excited, and it's going to be our off-season house, so it'll be our home base wherever we go. And we've just been obsessed with Nashville. Our friends, we have such a huge friend group that lives there, and it's 3 hours from both of our parents, so it's right in the
It's
middle.
perfect.
And so it just seemed like a good place, like, for us. So in my Instagram post, when it said "see you in," I think I said like 6 months or something. That's what I meant, because our house will be done in July. But obviously people were like, "Well, it lined up with training camp." I'm like, "Well, that's not what I meant. I meant our house will be done in July."
So let's do some clarification here, because I did have somebody reach out to me over the weekend and say, "Have you seen what Nikki's been posting? Does it sound like they already know that they're not going to be back in Baltimore?" And I was like, "Look, I don't know if you know this. I do not speak on their behalf. Like, that is not something I do." So we're clarifying that right now. Nothing that you're posting on social media means you guys know you're not going to be back in Baltimore.
Yes, that is correct. I don't think I would be the one to break the news to anyone. And even like we did a staycation in Baltimore this weekend, and I was like, Baltimore is always going to be one of our favorite homes, because obviously we're building a house in Nashville too. So when we come back here for the season, hopefully. But everyone freaked out again, and I'm like, you guys are just super sensitive right now, because I say this all the time, like anytime we go to the Bygone, anything. So I think, but yes, no, disclaimer, I will not be the one breaking the news.
We're gonna start calling you Nikki Rappaport at some point. Nikki
yeah,
Schefter.
like I'm like that. Not gonna be me.
Bradley and Nikki Bozeman are with us here on GCR, of course. Their continued amazing work. Nikki, I want to talk football with Bradley in a second, but I want to get an update from you on where things are with the foundation. I know you guys transitioned a lot during the course of the year and the various things that you were doing. What are the big priorities right now for the foundation? And let's put it all on the table, because we know that there's an unknown to all of this. What are the plans for the foundation with Baltimore, no matter where you guys end up?
Yeah, so we that's just like the nature of football. So we have been kind of like working behind the scenes to kind of figure out what we're going to do, a solution. But in the meantime, we have continued our Sink Snack program, partnering with the police station, and having those boxes put in the back of the squad cars for them to deliver out in Baltimore City. That's been a huge success. We've had, about a packaging event a month where we package anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 boxes from volunteers. So that has been amazing. We've seen amazing growth in that program. And that's something that we're going to continue. That's something that we've seen so much value in through the kids of Baltimore City, through the police department, just through the city as a whole. So we've been working to find different routes here, whether it's liaisons on this team, if we are to go somewhere else, or and liaisons in the community that we can start to kind of like bring in, so that we can have full confidence if we end up leaving, that someone can just take it over. because we do really see so much value in this program in Baltimore. So we're excited that it'll get to continue regardless of our contract status.
That's wonderful. It's wonderful. Go right now to bradnickybozeman.com. Find out more. Put a donation in. Continue to support what these wonderful people have done and who have adopted us and made our city their own no matter what happens. Bradley and Nikki Bozeman with us here on GCR. Bradley, the center. You and I haven't talked at all. The move back to center. You tell me. From afar, it looked like it went pretty well. It looked like you were pretty confident. How much fun was it for you? How good did you feel about all of it? And do you feel like now moving forward, that's what you are in the NFL? You're a center.
Yeah, for sure. It was probably one of the funnest years of football I had. Just getting back kind of just to my comfortable position, my home base, whatever you want to call it. But it was so much fun this year, just being able to be back in that position, be able to lead that offensive line, the great guys in that offense, and, just to be there. But yeah, I definitely see myself as a center going forward. I feel like I had a really, really good year. Probably my best year since I've been in Baltimore. So I was just really excited to kind of get back to what I do best.
The frustration of, look, I mean, everybody knows what happened this year, right? Like, my God, there's snake bitten, and then there's what you guys went through, right? Like, I don't know if by a miracle somehow it never hit you at any point, right? How tough is that to go? Because I know you guys are still grinding, and like whoever's out there, you're playing and trying to win with it. But how difficult is it when this isn't just like bad luck? This is something that's more overwhelming than basically any team has ever had to deal with in the history of football.
Yeah, I think it was kind of crazy, kind of from the start. I think it all really started with J.K. I believe that's where it started, but just went downhill kind of quickly as far as injuries go. Unfortunately, you can't hit the rewind button. You can't do what ifs. You can't do all that. You just got to move forward and play with the cards that you're dealt. I think guys did an amazing job stepping up to the plate, answering the call, and just doing their job and making a really good opportunity for themselves and our football team. So just really proud of our team this year, just to be able to push through, to stay level-headed, just to fight until the very end. This team was nothing but a bunch of fighters. So just very proud of this team.
If you are back on this football team next season, how confident would you be in just simply kind of running it back, saying, look, we don't need to change a whole lot. We just need to get our guys back out on the field next season?
Yeah, definitely feel confident about that. Just got to get our guys back. I think we had like some close to like $65 million on IR this year, which is ridiculous. And just some of our big playmakers weren't out on the field with us. So, they're our brothers. They're battling back now. I already know. I've seen all of them in the training room and everything like that. But yeah, I definitely think just trying to run it back and just get our guys out there.
All right, Nikki, I'm going to put this one to you because I know how Bradley's going to answer because he's so good at saying the right thing. I'm going to put it to you because I think you can be more human about it. The stress of the unknown, right? Like the genuinely not knowing what the next thing looks like. I think this is something that because football players tend to make a lot of money, like we don't think is real. We just sort of treat professional athletes almost like you're here for our entertainment. Do whatever we tell you to do. But on a human level, what is the stress like of the unknown when you go into an off season like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's super hard. It's hard because, this is your friend group. This is the people that you love to hang out with. And then when you all part ways at the end of the season, off seasons stink in general. And then when half of your friend group is in free agency and you're not all going to come back, it's just sad, and then, having your life in uncertainty of we have 3 different boxes. We have boxes for stuff to move to a rental home. We have boxes of stuff to leave in Baltimore. We have boxes of stuff, if we have to go somewhere else. So it's just the uncertainty in life. But I always, Bradley and I always say it's always a blessing, and we could be in so much worse positions. So
right.
I think everything is a blessing, and you just have to look at it that way, and you won't be as stressed. Not saying it's never stressful, but last night when we were, trying to get on the road to Nashville and our power somehow went out. So we had no power and it was freezing. So we started a fire in, our fireplace. And while we're outside, the fire fell out of the fireplace and caught the living room almost on fire.
Wait. Shut up. Shut up.
No, I'm being dead serious. Literally, we had already packed the whole truck. It is 8:30 at night, and I turn on the washer to, finish our loads of laundry.
Yeah.
And I click start, and the house just goes boom.
Oh, my God.
And it's black.
Oh, so it was you, not me.
No, it was you. I blamed it on him because he went up to the main house, and I thought he flipped the breaker. So no breakers are tripped. We're going through. Our neighbor's an electrician, and he came with the voltage meter, and he's like, yeah, you're not getting power to one of your legs. And so we called, thank God, BG&E are amazing. So BG&E came out literally they sent a crew out at 10:30 at night. They dug up the line until about 11:30. They found the break in the line. They repaired it. They redid everything, and we got power back at 11:30. But, around 11 o'clock, because we didn't know if we were going to have power for the night, we, put the fireplace on full. We stocked it up with a bunch of wood. And I'm watching the end of the Bills game, and I smells kind of smoky in here. And then all the fire alarms go off. I look up, and the wood has just fallen onto the ground. And I'm like, it's like billowing smoke into our living room. And I'm like, golly. And so
I don't love this as an omen, for what it's worth.
No,
I don't love it.
And so I fixed it and everything. And then Bradley comes in and he goes, we're just going to have a hectic day today so we can have a smooth day tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the way it works, right?
He said, knock on wood.
Yeah. Oh, God. Well, that's maybe not appropriate in the moment either.
Yeah.
That's so appropriate either.
So it was hectic. But at the end of the day, we were like, hey, we got our power back. We're in a warm house. There's a lot of things to be thankful for. And so it was fine. But we made it.
All right. Thank God. Thank God. But still, that's terrible. Bradley, I'm going to let you do the part because we have to, do the part where you say how much you want to be in Baltimore. But if I could, is there any part of you that would be disappointed as someone who's played, has just done everything that a team that would ask for? Is there any part of you that would be disappointed, or are you completely capable of taking emotions out of a situation like this?
Baltimore's been our home for the last 4 years. This place has been so special to us, so good to us. Came in as a 6th-round draft pick, really, just fighting to make it, make it on the team, do some rotation stuff, and then start for 3 years, which is very uncommon for a 6th-round draft pick. So, it just the opportunities this place has given me, the relationships that I've built, the teammates that I have. I'm just so grateful. Just very, very grateful. We hope it works out, but we understand it's a business at the end of the day. And they have to look at it from that standpoint, and we have to look at it from that standpoint. And we hope it both works out for both of our standpoints.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, we understand.
As a player, is the franchise tag something that you're like, yeah, I'm okay with that, or is that like, nah, I just want to let's just do it. Let's do this or not do it. You know what I mean? Like, where does that, what does that make you feel? The idea of a tag.
It's kind of like I said, it's kind of it's a business standpoint for them. So I don't really know. That hasn't really been in discussion at all.
Okay.
So I don't know. We'll have to cross that bridge if we ever get there. But for right now, we're just trying to figure out what's going on. So.
I completely get it. You mentioned JK a second ago. I'm assuming he never paid off his spam Oreo sandwich bet, right?
Oh, he didn't.
Yeah.
I'm glad you reminded me of that.
I meant to. The
We'll
injury was terrible. It was terrible time. I didn't want to bring it up when he got hurt because, come on, man. You don't need to kick a man while he's down.
Right.
But we still, particularly if you end up somewhere else, he's still got to pay that off. He's still got to be a man of his word, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to be a man of his word.
That's what I'm saying. That's the way it's got to
I got to collect that debt. Absolutely.
We will have to prioritize that, whatever it ends up looking like. And in the meantime, is there anything specific that obviously WPMOY Challenge Bozeman, that's the priority, guys. We need to get the votes in. You guys will be down again, or you'll be out in L.A., correct, for the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, we will. They fly us out for the Super Bowl, and so we get to go out there again and have a good time and get to meet with everyone. So it's gonna be a good time. So really excited to get back out there again. They're gonna have all their usual events. Last year didn't have any of the events like the red carpet,
Right.
The NFL honors, all that stuff. So I'm excited to get out there and get to experience all
That's cool.
the real experience of it.
Right. The actual Super Bowl, not the 10% that they had to do a year ago.
Exactly.
And hey, I can't let you guys go. I need both of you to quickly chime in on an opinion. How do we fix overtime in football? Like, Nick, you said you were watching the game last night. Are you okay with that? Are you all right with only one team getting the ball? What should overtime look like in football? Nikki, I'm going to let you start.
Okay, I'll start, and I'll give you my opinion because we were in the car for 10 hours. So we were just having this discussion, and we were trying to, solve the world's problems.
That's still my idea.
And I won't steal his idea. I'll let him tell his idea. So here's my just tidbit of why I'm okay with it right now, how it is. So my theory is, yes, you give the offense a chance to start, but you also give the defense a chance to, whether it's like Bradley said, a pick six or to make a stop. Like, it is a defensive front that you also have. So if you are a superior team, you should have a defensive front that can stop their offense if you are a superior team. But do I necessarily think that's the fairest way to do it? No. I saw someone said to do like a kind of shootout phase and have everyone on the 5-yard line, and everyone gets one play. You stay on the 5-yard line, and each team gets, I think it was like 5 tries or something. And whoever scores the most out of 5 on each team. It's like the NHL.
Hockey, like a hockey shootout,
yeah,
right?
Like
penalty
a hockey
kicks,
shootout.
yeah.
Do I love it? No. Do I know like a better way to fix it? No. I like Bradley's idea. So he's like looking at me like, give me the phone because he really wants to explain his idea.
Okay.
So I think it stays exactly how it is.
Yep.
Because like I said, if defense has a pick six and they go in and score, the game's over.
Yep.
So and then same thing, offense, they go in and score, they win. But they should take the ability to punt the ball out of the equation. So if a team they kick off, the team gets the ball at the 25-yard line, and then they go 4 and out, so they have to try to convert on 4th down. Now the opposing team gets the ball on the 20.
So you'd have to think about whether or not you really wanted the ball in that situation.
Exactly. So it kind of gives it's a really big coin flip on, do I take the ball or do I try to get a stop?
That's interesting. I still don't like the idea. This is the only problem I have with it. I still don't like any scenario where both teams don't get the ball, right? Like, I just feel like both teams should have to have the ball in overtime. But at least you're right that you would have. But is there any chance? Like, if you're an offensive player, if your coach said, "Nah, we're going to go on defense," wouldn't you be furious in that situation? Wouldn't you say, "No, hell no, we got 4 downs. Give me the damn ball"?
It depends on my defense, to be honest.
Okay, all right.
If my defense is up, because defense is very game to game. So if my defense is up, and they're playing out of their mind, yeah, put the defense out there. But
right.
If they're being ran through, then
right.
you gotta put the offense and give us a chance to win the game.
All right.
Because like the teams carry each other, so the offense will play bad and the defense will pick it up, and then the defense will play bad and the offense will pick it up. So that's why it's such an incredible team sport.
All right, I look, it is unique. That's an idea I have not heard before. It is a hell of a concept. I think everybody would take the ball, but I hear what you're saying. I completely hear it. All right, WPMOY Challenge Bozeman. Hashtag WPMOY Challenge Bozeman on Twitter right now. Get your votes in for Bradley Bozeman as Walter Payton Man of the Year. BradNickyBozeman.com. At BradNicky. Oh, God. Oh, it's been so long. At BradNickyBose. At BSBose. At 1NickyAnd3. Did I get it all right?
Yep, you did.
Oh, yeah. It's been, oh, man. All those years, muscle memory, man. That's the way that it works out. Guys, whatever happens, love and appreciate you. Thankful for everything you've done and you're going to continue to do for this community and the way that it's embraced. I hope, beyond hope, that there is good news coming from this and that you guys are going to be here for a long time. But I know you're going to continue to improve lives no matter what happens. Thank you, as always, for taking the time. Safe travels to Nashville. Let's talk again down the road, all right?
Absolutely. And thanks again for having us on.
Appreciate you. Bradley and Nikki Bozeman, they are the best. And, look, I get it. It's a business. We have no idea. We're not going to take a break, so you can do whatever you need to do. Whatever happens, happens. I understand that. I am understanding of the way this works. I would really like it if it involved Bradley and Nikki Bozeman staying in Baltimore for multiple reasons. One, because they're incredible people, but also because Bradley Bozeman is very good at what he does. I understand that it's a business. I understand that there's only so much money to go around, and I understand that you have to prioritize it. And I think a lot of people are operating under the assumption that he's been priced out. I hope that doesn't prove to be true, but I get it. Into hour number 2 of the show. It's brought to you by CCBC. Need to hone your computer skills to boost your career, or maybe you want an IT certification? CCBC Continuing Education has the courses and programs you need for a career in the computer field, and it's all tuition-free. From the basics to specialized training, we have the classes you need, from hardware to programming to cybersecurity and so much more. It's your choice. It's your career. Call 443-840-4700 or visit ccbcmd.edu/computer training. Pleasant morning, because I get to talk to a lot of my favorite people. Obviously, Bradley and Nikki, love them. You guys know my affinity for our next guest as well. He's been a friend for a long time. He's someone who also has shown deep care and concern for our community, literally adopted the Mervo football team a few years ago. The For Everyone Foundation has done incredible work. And, he reminded everybody special teams matter. They're a part of football, too. As we were watching the Packers-49ers game on Saturday night, he and I ended up tweeting back and forth for a little while. He is our friend Anthony Levine Sr., co-cap, and he's back with us now here on GCR. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Well, what's up, man? Good morning, man. How you doing?
Everything is good. Everything good with you? How's the off season?
Man, it's good, man. Enjoying to get to spend more time with my family. Get the kids back, watching a little football. Hate that we're not playing.
Oh, of course, right, yeah.
Bittersweet.
Yeah, right. Definitely would rather be playing football, but if you're not going to be, those aren't terrible things to be doing with the time.
You feel me? Family first, man.
Exactly right, bro. Hey, Anthony, I was just talking about this with Bradley a second ago. Give me your do you think, you know everybody's talking about it, do you think the overtime rules should be changed in the NFL?
Nah, I don't.
Okay, because you think defense should matter.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to always be, because on first it was, they wanted the rules to change. Now they want to change it back. I mean, it's the luck of the straw. That game could have went on all night last night. Whoever they're going to score back and forth, and somebody got to step up and make a play. So I think the rules keep it the same, and whatever happens, happens.
All right, I hear you. This is the only thing I would say, right, is that, like, if you just play on a little bit longer and the other team gets the ball, gets a chance to go down and score a touchdown, and they know, wouldn't they at some point say, we're going to go for 2 and try to end this right here, and then the game doesn't go on all night?
I mean, it's just like going for it on fourth down. It's like, do you go for it, do you not go for it? You know what I'm saying? If you get it, then it's like everybody like, oh, great job. If you don't get it, it's like, why didn't you just kick the –
Right.
You
can talk about it forever. There's no doubt. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Not that happened at all in Baltimore this season, Anthony. Not that was a topic of conversation. Hey, can you tell me, just because we're on it, because then I want to talk to you about special teams, what is that like internally? Was it controversial at all for you guys when those decisions were being made, or were you all, like, in on it? Had you all kind of gotten together as a group and said, no, we know this is the team we're going to be. We're going to win or die being an aggressive team?
Nah, I mean, that's who we are. We agree with everything. We want to go for it. We want to be aggressive. We don't want to sit back and be like, oh, man, what if we would have went for it? Oh, we should have went for it. It's like, we're going to live and die by it. It is what it is. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But we're going to come to play, and, we're going to be aggressive. That's our mentality. That's our mindset. So we got the guys to make the plays, and sometimes we made them, sometimes we didn't. Like, it is what it is. Some things, that's the way the cookies crumble sometimes, unfortunately. But when we do get it, it's like, oh, great job. I'm glad y'all went for it. If you don't get it, it's like, oh, why?
This is the worst. Yeah, right. It was the worst decision in the history of football. Why in the world would you be doing that? Well, if that ball's caught, you think it's the greatest decision in the history of football, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, in the first quarter, when the Bills went for it on fourth down on the goal line,
right. Right.
Now what if they wouldn't have gotten it? It'd
Yep.
be like, why didn't you just keep the field goal? You see what I'm saying? But now they got the touchdown. It's like, oh, that was a great call. Hell of a call. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you live with your decision and you stand on it.
I'm with you, bro. And by the way, I'll never fault the team for being aggressive and believing in themselves. Like, I mean, at some point I understand somebody say it gets reckless, but I don't know, man. Like, go do it. Go do it. Have the confidence that you're going to convert. Have the confidence that you're going to get the job done. And then that's who you are. Like, that's your identity as a football team moving forward is you're a confident team that's going to go get it done. I'm with you, man. And I did not find myself second-guessing it during the season. All right.
Nah, man, you can't never second guess.
So I used the phrase talk your shit on Saturday nights because that's what I felt in that tweet that you sent out as you were watching the Packers 49ers game. And I will admit to you, Anthony, we've got another host here who is always type like, I don't understand why they give away roster spots to special teams guys. And I always say, like, dude, it's part of football. Like, it's part of the game. You got to be able to get the job done. As a guy who has made a very nice life for himself in large part because of special teams, that there had to be a little bit of feeling good that there was a reminder, hey, our part of the game matters too.
Most definitely, because everybody, they want to talk about special teams, and when we have arguably the best kicker of all time in football, right?
Yep.
Now, if you take special teams out, that means we don't have Justin Tucker. But everybody loves Justin Tucker. You know what I'm saying? We got Sam Cook. We have Morgan Cox. We have great special teams players that win us games. Special teams have won us games. Justin Tucker has won us games.
Yeah.
Jacoby Jones have won us games.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Devin Duvernay was an all-pro this season.
Exactly. So it's like, why special teams? Why special teams? Well, when your kicker missed that field goal, now the Chicago Bears, they're trying out all these kickers in the league. Special teams is important. You know what I'm saying? Last in the Packers game, special teams, you give them a block kick and a touchdown. Special teams. Tyreek Hill catches a punt return, goes almost all the way. You know what I'm saying? Special teams. That's an impact play. That's how you get momentum. That's how you energize your team. You know what I'm saying? So now, when your team give up a big play on special teams, now you mad at the special teams coordinator. Now you mad at the special teams player. Now you tweeting out, oh, man, what about special teams? Get you a good core special teams player, and your team will be successful.
Brother.
And, I mean, it is what it is.
And that's, I think people understand it when it's a kicker, right? And then they don't get that, like, hey, the guy who's responsible for going down and tackling Tyreek Hill, that guy's really important too, because you can't allow for there to be a 70-yard swing in the middle of a game. Like, it's incredible to me the way that we just sort of pretend, well, you can just send anybody out there to do it. No, you can't. Like, you got to be good at it.
No, you do. You got to be, special teams is all about one team. It's about grit, grind. You got to want to do it. You know what I'm saying? You got to be aggressive. And that's what special teams is about. It's one play, 4 speed, and you just go out there and you're going to make a play. And with the play, when I said it with Green Bay, I don't want to call anybody out or
right.
Team like, but I'm watching it, and the snapper gets pushed back. That's why the PP there. The PP is supposed to support the snapper to help him out because he's snapping the ball, then he got to come back and say he got to get his head up quick. But he already got a 300-pound guy pushing him back.
Right.
That's tough. That's tough on the snapper. But that's when you got a PP. They're supposed to understand that, so to help him out, to brace him. You know what I'm saying? But when you have a good, experienced special teams player, he sees that. You see what I'm saying? It's like, so that play never happened. But when you're so used to it, you're not used to punt and block because you have a great PP in myself. You know what I'm saying? It's that play don't even matter to you. But until you give up a punt block, that's when it's like, oh man, get him out of here. He sucks.
Right. Well, but that's the reason why it's the reason why a team prioritizes making sure they have a veteran player who knows what they're doing in that situation. Because if you got Anthony Levine back there, your season's not going to end because you got a punt blocked. Like,
hey, can you sit down and think about that? Can you imagine the Baltimore Ravens being in the playoff game and we lose because we give up a blocked punt?
Right.
Can you imagine?
Bro, I've seen a lot of things. I know
I've
never seen that. Like, I know that damn well.
You know what I'm saying? At least that's one thing you know.
Right.
You know, we're not going to lose the game because of special teams.
I mean, bro, it's not a hard concept, man, and I don't know why people struggle with it. I think it's the fantasy football occasion. Like, if I can't play you in fantasy football, I don't think you exist. Like, I think it really is as simple as that.
Yeah, nah, man, it's crazy, man. You know, it's just, when I seen the play, and then all of a sudden everybody was tweeting about special teams. I felt like special teams was going viral, and it's like, oh my God! Like now all of a sudden now everybody want to talk about special teams.
Right.
When before nobody cares about special
Right.
teams. It's like all you do is play special teams. Yeah, no, I'm really good at it.
Right.
And that's why the Baltimore Ravens are number one in special teams.
That's a fact. As Rick Goslin's ranking came out last year, and by the way, that is Bible, as I've said before in football circles. Like, that is Bible, his rankings. And not only were you guys number one, you were number one with distance. Like, number two wasn't close when it came to special teams rankings. You're 100%. You're 100% right, and this is the reason why you've been in the league for over a decade. I mean, there's other things we know about you as a leader and what you mean in the locker room. We understand all those things. But really, from a football perspective, this is the reason why it's a priority for the Ravens to say, whatever we do, we can't lose Anthony Levine, right? Like, we got to shuffle the roster, but we can't lose Anthony Levine because they understand this matters and they can't lose a game this way. Like, just that simple. Right. Just that simple. Anthony Levine Sr., co-cap. I guess let me just make sure I got it. You know, these are the questions you got to ask. You're planning on being back, right? Like, you're not starting to think about moving on at this point, are you?
Man, I don't really know. I mean, you know, we have conversations. I talk about it. But the one thing about it, I'm a Raven for life. And I'm here. Actually, I'm in the building right now. I was getting a workout in. So, you know, we're going to see where things go, man. Do I plan on being back as a Raven yet?
Okay. I mean, look, I get it. You know, it's a business. You don't get to make that decision entirely. We understand. But, you know, I don't think there's any reason why they wouldn't want – again, they don't want to have a block punt ruin their season. They would probably be well served to have you back next year. Hey, man, I talked kind of at the beginning in introducing you. I talked about your relationship with Mervo football over the years. And, you know, they experienced something sort of just unfathomable this year when Elijah Gorham passed away. And I watched – your embrace, and we know it was a special story as they rallied and they ran towards the state title. Can you tell me about your emotions in the relationship you have with that community and how much you tried to lift them up in dealing with just this unfathomable tragedy and trying to play football through it?
Yeah, man. When that happened, man, it was definitely heartbreaking. You never want to see, you know, a parent lose their child. Or anything like that, man. You know, I have two kids myself, and I won't even know where to start. So the first thing I did, you know, I reached out to his mother. You know, I stayed in contact with her, and me and her talked. Probably, I haven't talked to her in a couple of weeks, but me and her, we went out to eat and everything, talked to her. But with the football team, you know, they understood. They understood the assignment. They understood what he meant to the community, what he meant to them, and they just wanted to show how much they love him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wasn't about to go out there and not do their best. And for them to bring home the state championship, man, it was amazing to see. There's a lot of great kids over there who have bright futures. You know. I just wanted to bring more of a spotlight to those kids because they're overlooked. You know, they're in the inner city, and you know some of them don't have a lot of things to be able to live like other people live. You know what I'm saying? So just me being around those kids, you know, uplift them and just bring them joy and let them see and be around a person that lets them know that it can be whatever they want to be. They don't have to be a statistic, you know. So that's really the most important thing for me to them.
That's awesome, man. It was special to see you guys lift them up, and you know, a reminder of how in touch you guys have been with this community over the years, and you in particular. I know what that relationship has meant to so many people, bro. It was powerful to watch the role that you took on in those moments. I gotta ask. I'm not trying to cause controversy. I have to ask you about when I gotta, just something. I'm not trying to get you to trash anybody. You know that.
It sounds like controversy.
I know that. I just anything at all that you want to say about Wink, and I know he was very much a player's coach.
Man, Wink is actually a great coach, man. I think he's one of the best coordinators in the league who deserves the head coaching job. Sometimes, man, it's a performance-based league, and the way how Wink is with the players, man, he's the best, man. He let us be us, go out there and play ball. He's aggressive. We love him, man, and unfortunately, the way this business is, things like that happen. Maybe disagreements, it may be whatever it may be. But as far as players, we love Wink, man. He was one of us. He embraced us, we embraced him. So for that to happen, it was just like, man, but that's what happens in football.
Yep.
That's the kind of business we in.
Yep.
So we got to next man in.
I know that's the way it goes, and I know. Look, I was just talking about this with Bradley and Nikki, right? Because they don't know what their future is, and I'm like, it's a bummer because I think sometimes we forget y'all are human beings, right? And like y'all have relationships and they matter, and you also don't have control over those situations, right? Like you'd love to be with the same people for the entirety of your professional career. It's just not the way that the business works, unfortunately, sometimes, and.
No. I felt the same way about Eric Weddle.
Right. Okay.
When Weddle left, it's like, come on, man. Like we don't want Weddle to leave. Judon gone. When TJ left, but he came back. Or Peanut. It's like that. You make friends with these guys. We become family. Then all of a sudden, the next chapter happens for them and for us. It's like, the roster's not gonna be the same next year as it was this year. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be new guys on the roster. It's going to be guys that was on the roster last year. It's not going to make it this year. So it's the same thing. Stuff like that happens. It's in the business. I've been cut. I've been cut 3 times.
Yep. This season. Right.
It happens.
Right.
It happens, man. So, but, we know how much we love him, how much we care about him. But, that's the business we in.
I understand, brother. I completely understand. I'm glad you knew what I was asking, and I think you did that exactly what I expected you to say, man. It's what it is the nature of the beast. All right, yeah. Anthony Levine, what can I plug for you? Social media-wise, the foundation, the whole deal. What can we get plugs in for?
Man, right now, I was just talking to one of my high school coaches, my mentor, my trainer, and with my foundation, what I'm doing is I'm going to be mentoring 2 male student athletes and 2 female student athletes in Western State of North Carolina. So 4 athletes total, 2 boys, 2 girls. Just to give them an insight, help them in any way I can. Just trying to get them in college, and because if you help one help another, it trickles down. It's a trickle down effect. So right now I'm working on that mentorship. I have a boys to men mentorship going on in Louisiana from my hometown. Man, I'm doing a lot of things, man. The only thing is, you want me to public, but it's kind of like things like this. I would have never probably said.
I know, yeah.
On my Instagram, on my Twitter.
It's your guy.
It's just things I be doing in the community. Like I don't want to do stuff and be like, oh, look what I'm doing in my community. Look what I'm doing here.
I know that's true. I know that's true, bro. We like letting people know, and part of this is how well I've gotten to know you over the years, man. I like people to know, what a good guy you are. But I know that's true. I know it's not about that for you. It's just about doing the right thing, man. And that's what makes it mean so much.
And I hear from Levita Tuff. She actually is head of my foundation. Yep. And she gets mad when I don't post on my social media about what I got going on, what we doing. Because people like, you could be Walter Payton Man of the Year, and I'm like, you know what? To these kids, I'm a Walter Payton Man of the Year, and that's all that matters to me.
That's tremendous.
You know what I'm saying? Whether I get it when we started the whole computer, I bought I don't know how many computers I bought. I bought a lot of them for the inner city kids in Baltimore. I never put that out on social media.
I know that's true.
But then a couple guys did it, and all of a sudden they go viral. this and that. And she's like, see, you're the first person to do it. And now I'm telling everybody doing it. And to me, I'm like, you know what? I don't care about that. You know, as long as these kids know, you know, and these kids understand, that's all that matters to me. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I am, man.
Remind Levita, who I love, she's great, right? Remind
Yeah.
her that she can tell me, and I'll tell everybody, and you don't have to be a part of it, all right? Like, remind her that I'm always good for that because, you know, man, you're my dude, and I respect the hell out of you, and it means the world. It means another level. It's one thing that you're a good football player, right? Like, I like the fact that you're a good football player, but it means so much more the way that you've embraced our community and the way that you've made this your home and you've cared about us and lifted us up, dude. It will always mean more that way, that you've come here and you've done that over the years.
Man, it's love, man. I appreciate y'all, man.
At Levine41 on Twitter is how you follow him. Co-Cat, my man, talk your shit. Appreciate you as always. Let's talk again soon, all right?
Already, man. Thank you for having me.
Anthony Levine Sr. A couple of really good people, man. You know? A couple of between Bradley and Nikki and Anthony Levine Sr., I'm telling you, there's some people that we've been fortunate to have in this community. And again, it's a business. And he's right. And what he said about Don Martindale, that's the point. Like, it's a business. And you can scream and you can yell and you can say, this is unfair. I'm not. It's the way it works. Sometimes there are coaching changes. Sometimes there's just whatever it is. There's just some sort of friction. I don't feel the need to dive too deep into this because I just don't think it's that controversial.
Dick LeBeaus don't come around all that often.
Yes, typically coordinators don't stay in the same place for a decade.
Yeah.
It almost never happens. It's just the way that it goes. If you're that good, you typically, to your point, move on. You get a head coaching job. If you're not that good, you're gone. Coordinators just don't usually stay somewhere for 10 years. So it's a bummer for these guys because they really like Wink Martindale. Clearly, they really liked him. You could tell that, on the sideline. You could see the relationship these guys had with Wink Martindale. But these guys had a relationship with Chuck Pagano, too, once upon a time. He was very much a player's coach. And Ed Reed would tell you, right, Ed Reed would walk miles across broken glass for Chuck Pagano, right? I'm not saying other guys wouldn't. I just happen to know a little bit more about the intricacy of that relationship. But then there's funny ones that you don't know about. Like, everybody thinks Marty Mornhinweg's a boob, right? Michael Vick would do the exact same thing for Marty Mornhinweg. And you're like, I don't get that at all, right? Like, I just don't see it. Because it's a relationship thing. Because sometimes relationships that's what they are. These guys clearly had a great relationship with Wink Martindale. But Anthony Levine knows this is football. This is the way that it works. And if I'm back next season, there's going to be a defensive coordinator, and we're going to get to work on the relationship with who that guy is.
And there's a chance that this works out for the better for Wink.
Yeah, possibly.
He could have a ton of head coaching interviews.
Maybe, right?
Maybe not a ton, but he could have some.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that the timing of this had something to do with they knew that, like, he wasn't. And I said this last week. I think they don't want to fire someone who's up for head coaching jobs because it's a bad look, right? Like, it's not a good look to be fired. And I think that the timing of this is more likely, hey, they knew he wasn't getting a head coaching job, so now let's make the move, and then he can line up whatever his job is. Hey, Charlie, what's up, buddy? I'm going to take a break in 1 second. I'll come chat with you, all right? And that's my gut about how things played out, is in the timing-wise, why it took. Now, I think the timing-wise of 5:50 on a Friday afternoon was purposeful, was let's limit the amount of controversy involved with this and the amount of time people are talking about it. And again, here we are. Last week we were desperate for Ravens news. We were desperate for something, and we get to Monday, and we're barely talking about it at all because we had a weekend of utter and complete classic football games, and so that's the priority. It's the nature of the beast. Today's show is also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Make the most out of every day in a Toyota RAV4, available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Toyotas from your local Toyota dealer today. Jeremy Conn's going to join us in a bit. Before we wrap up today, Jaylen Smith is going to join us as well. That's all on the way. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Duffy's Garage is a family-owned and operated car care facility in beautiful Baldwin, Maryland. An authorized Maryland inspection station and Napa Pro Care Center with ASE-certified techs. Tell them that Glenn Clark sent you and receive 10% off your service with a max discount of $150. You gotta trust where you take your car, so take it to where I take mine. Duffy's Garage in Baldwin. Duffy'sGarageMD.com.
The latest issue of Press Box is available now, and it's our very special annual Best of issue. On the cover, we celebrate Justin Tucker as our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, honoring his historic on-field achievements, but also the unprecedented relationship he shared with Baltimore. Inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of 2021, including Cedric Mullins' incredible season and the dominance of local Paralympic athletes. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farms stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The biggest pro wrestling stars today and all time all have one thing in common. You've heard them on Jobbing Out.
Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks.
Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it.
The great Kurt Angle.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Matt Riddle.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man.
The champ, Drew McIntyre.
Oh, thank you for having me.
The great Ron Simmons.
Keith Lee. Appreciate you guys having me, man.
Bill Goldberg.
My pleasure.
Charlotte.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mick Foley is with us.
This is the greatest name for a wrestling show I've ever heard.
MJF.
I'm glad you're happy I'm on this show because I'm freaking miserable.
Le champion.
Chris Jericho.
Le champion.
AJ, Aaron, Brandon, and Glenn are talking pro wrestling every week on Jobbing Out. Find it at PressBoxOnline.com/radio, iTunes, and SoundCloud.
Stay tuned. Your chance to win $1 million is coming up. Probably not from us. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
All right, back in here on GCR. We roll along on a Monday edition of the program. It's also brought to you by Glory Days Grill, where the seasonal menu is still available with the comfort food classics, including the house-made meatloaf, the grilled meatloaf sandwich, the short rib grilled cheese, the smoky thigh wings with the Alabama barbecue sauce. It's all so good. Glory Days Grill right now. Get your order in and enjoy it for dinner tonight. What's going on, Paul? How are you, pal? Everything good? We've had this sort of it's been an intense morning. Great guests. I mean, very happy about the way the show lined up, but just sort of an intense morning of things going on.
Yeah.
Way more people in the building than normal.
You got all these people out there. I'm like, should we close the door? I'm getting texts from friends telling me that the overtime rule should stay the same because we have an opportunity to make it stop.
Oh my God. How close are friends?
Guy that I play baseball with.
Can we reconsider?
Nah, he's a good dude.
But
You might know him.
Who?
Bobby Newcomb.
I do know Bobby Newcomb.
It's Bobby Newcomb.
Yeah, I went to high school with Bobby Newcomb. I like Bobby. He's a good guy. He's wrong. He's just flat wrong. Look, again, the idea of and this is where the two things get separated. I think there are people that genuinely believe what we're saying is this shouldn't count. No, of course it counts. The rules were what they were. But in the same way that we know that people shouldn't be in jail for marijuana, we should know that moving forward we should reconsider. There's no reason that a football game shouldn't. The idea of, and I'll handle it two ways. The idea of is all you got to do is get a stop is wrong for two reasons. The first being, but the other team doesn't have to. Only the one team has to get a stop. The other team doesn't have to do S. Why? Because of a coin flip. So when you say, hey, it didn't come down to a coin flip, it came down to you not being able to get a stop. Fair. But the other team didn't have to. The other team just got to sit and say, hey, our defense sucks, but too bad. We're smarter than this. We're smarter than that. And to say, well, you had 60 minutes. You could have determined the game then. Or, it's a crazy thought, tell me which one of us was going to turn that game off. I just want to put that out there. Tell me which one of us was going to say, well, if they play this game any longer tonight, if they allow any more plays, I'm done. I was watching Gemstones tonight, and I don't care how long this football game goes. I got to watch Elise Cornet play tennis. So they give the ball back to the – stop it. Stop. We're trying too hard. Is it the greatest travesty in the history of the earth? No. Is there any justifying the idea that you don't let both quarterbacks see the ball, both offenses see the ball in overtime? No, there is not.
Josh Allen was in the process of potentially a historic
I know,
run.
one of the greatest performances you've ever seen.
And
again, look,
it ends in the division round because they won't let him touch the ball in overtime.
And that's football. That's the way it goes. Sometimes it could, again, goofy things could happen. What if instead of a field goal at the end of the game, Patrick Mahomes hits another one to Tyreek Hill that he breaks for a touchdown?
That's true.
Those things can happen. You can play brilliantly and lose the football game. It's just specifically, and this is why it's so much bigger than this game, every game should involve both teams seeing the ball. Let's talk more about it. Jeremy Conn, 105.7 The Fan, Big Bag Morning Show. His picks every day at PressBoxOnline.com. Where are you with this whole thing, man?
It doesn't bother me at all. People are going to get upset over, how things go in postseason play, and we always bring this up when a team loses in the situation they did. And it's funny because what Paul said is correct. He was on this epic run. The only mistake that Josh Allen made in the postseason was calling tails. It's
a fact.
It's such a weird thing. At 9 touchdowns, and it still wasn't good enough to beat the Chiefs. And I go back to if they should have squib kicked it. That was the thing that bothered me the most. But I say this all the time, and it's the dumbest, dumbest thing that I say is you're only right when you're right. Doesn't matter what you call as long as it works out, because the public is results driven and not what the proper protocol should be, or if you're doing things the right way or however it should be. But I don't have a problem with the overtime. It's set up this way. We've already changed it to where you get a stop, and that's how it should be. But when teams score 25 points in the last 2 minutes of the game, the defenses are already exhausted. So whoever gets the ball first does have an advantage.
Well, and I'll add to it, Jeremy. The NFL changed the rules. The NFL over the last 20 years got rid of defense. That's not on the teams. The NFL said we don't want teams to be able to play defense because it's better for ratings if we don't have defense. And so when you change that, they needed to adapt this with it. So the idea of, well, all you got to do is get a stop. Well, the league has gone out of their way to make sure it is as difficult as humanly possible to get a stop. By the way that they changed not just rules, but the types of calls that you're willing to make against defensive players, right? They made it more difficult to play defense, and we have to acknowledge that when we have these conversations.
Yeah, do they go to I've heard so many things that were mentioned of what they should do for overtime. Do you go to something like the first team that scores 8 points in overtime? Is that enough? Or, how long do you want to drag it out? I watched a college football game with them going from the 25 that went to 7 overtimes,
right.
8 overtimes. And now they've changed that to where you eventually have to go for 2-point conversions on consecutive. It's basically turned into a shootout. And I don't think that's
Jeremy,
right.
I think this has been the problem. The problem is that nobody's able to coalesce around the same idea. And so when we get to this every year, everybody just throws out 100 ideas, and you can't get – first of all, the owners are the wrong group of people to be dealing with this, because the owners just don't care all that much about anything. They're all like, how does this affect whether or not we're rich? Not in any way, not my concern, right? It's just the wrong group of people to put in these situations.
Well, we have a new problem is that you use the word coalesce, and now I need to
Oh,
look it
right,
up,
yeah.
so I know what the hell you're talking
It's offensive
about,
to you because I used a word.
It's too big.
I understand
Dude.
that. I don't, to me, this really is simple. It's the exact same thing you're already doing. you're just not letting the game end with a touchdown. So the first team scores a touchdown, the second team gets a chance to go down the field, and if they score a touchdown, either they can go for 2 and try to win the game, or if they kick the extra point, then they're accepting that it's sudden death moving forward, right?
I just find it so odd that we probably had, and people have made the statement, whether you agree with it or not, that this was the greatest weekend of football games that we've ever had, with these 4 games all ending on the final play, and that we're still complaining about something on Monday morning.
Well, because, Jimmy, I know what you're saying, because it was an amazing weekend. Nobody's debating that. But this is something we have discussed for decades, right? Like, the overtime thing is not new. And what was frustrating was, I mean, I don't know about you. My buddy Dave Damashek tweeted it, and I absolutely, literally, the first tweet I said was, there's still 13 seconds. Like, I 1,000% believed that the Chiefs were going down and kicking a field goal to tie the game. Like, they had 2 timeouts left. They had all of the field to use. And there was nothing that was hyperbolic. Like, I 1,000% believe the game was going to overtime. And the immediate thought I had was, oh, goody. And now we're going to let this masterpiece of a football game be decided by a coin flip. Like, that part of, like, I don't know how in your core as a football fan that couldn't bother you. That it's
I get that. I get all that. I'm just, for me, like, I don't know. I've always looked at it as I don't know that people will ever be happy with whatever answer we give. And maybe one of these times they go to this, hey, both teams get the ball and we have one of these crazy ass games that goes on for, I don't know, an hour or something after the game should have been over. But you know, I know it shouldn't be what college does, and I'm fine with the way it is now. But it sucks. You know, it does suck the way that game ended. Especially like myself, I was rooting for the Bills. Not since Booby's injury. I mean, he could have had the greatest season that we've all ever heard of from what was that, Friday Night Lights.
But Booby Miles, right? Wasn't that his name?
Miles.
Booby
Thank you.
Miles.
I said Johnson. I went with the generic name.
Yeah,
but no, like the point being, Glenn, that you know, you look at the overtime rules, and we knew it. Josh Allen knew it as soon as he lost the coin toss.
The game was over.
Go down and he walked away.
The game was over. Yeah. I mean, it's like, and I get it. Not every overtime game is like that, right?
You know, the other funny part about this too is that we watched it all weekend long, from the Rams trying to give that game away to the Buccaneers late, and all the goofy things that happened and unfolded, to the Tennessee Titans throwing interception after interception, Green Bay allowing a block punt to change their entire livelihood, you know, and ruin the game for them. You know, with all these things that have happened, and then we start to question what should be done, what should go on. The one thing I know for certain is that, you know, like in the time that things are happening, I always say like in my mind, I'm always going, this is what I think. Let's see if I'm right or wrong. And I'm not always right. But my problem is that everybody, it's always factual, and it goes back to that thing I said. You're never right unless you're right. It doesn't matter what you do. You're always going to be questioned. So the reason I bring this up is that we saw all these teams go to prevent defense. Like, oh, we can't give up the big play. We can give up the underneath. But in actuality, all that did was you put guys in areas and you run through it. And if Pat Mahomes has time, he's going to find one of his guys open, and that prevented them from winning. And we don't ever talk about it. Like, if you've done something the entire game and it's worked, why all of a sudden do you change it now? Or maybe you're saying it didn't work in this Bills game. But I hope my point's coming across.
I understand. I understand exactly what you're saying.
Teams do this all the time, and we never talk about what could have happened had they gone the other way.
You're 100% right. You know, I know the argument last night was that why are you rushing 4, right? Like, what is the point of the 4th rusher? You're not getting home with a 4th rusher. Just rush 3 and give yourself one more player in the field to deal with these other guys, right? Like, if either you're going on attack to try to get Patrick Mahomes on the ground, or what is the point of having a 4th rusher on the field, right? Like,
absolutely.
You know?
And then again, a squib kick would have – here I am screaming
course.
about a squib kick. But what happens if they squib it and it goes out of bounds?
Well, yeah, and then you give them the ball at the 40-yard line, right.
Yeah, or they get somebody like a Tyreek Hill's back, like the 49ers used Deebo Samuel on a kickoff to try to get something going.
Yep.
The Chiefs used Tyreek Hill on a punt return to get something going. You know, like, ultimately these things do matter. And, like, if you made the wrong play, let's say you did try a squib and you screwed it up, maybe he gets one shot to get it over the line to gain. And who knows? I still don't put it past Pat Mahomes. And it's funny what you said. Like, everybody's saying, there's still 13 seconds. I laugh at those people. You guys are idiots. You can't do this in 13 seconds.
Nope.
The Cowboys couldn't get in field goal range in 14
They don't have
seconds.
Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce, dog. Like,
yeah.
They got her done, though. It's a different animal when you have those cats on the field, and that's, you know, like that's sort of what the NFL wants, right? Like, they want it to be arena football in a way. Like, they like this because you're glued and you can't stop watching. All right, Jeremy Conn is with us. By the way, the atmosphere, because we talk gambling, like the atmosphere at we were at Live Casino Hotel yesterday in the FanDuel Sportsbook, like hanging out. Rita and I were. I've never experienced anything like that in the state of Maryland. It was bat-ass insane. And
I bet the sportsbook over there is beautiful too.
Oh, it's incredible, right? Like it's an incredible.
Yeah.
But like what's so alarming to me is, Jeremy, there were probably like 3 legitimate Rams fans in there, like guys that were wearing shirts or whatever, and maybe 6 legitimate Buccaneers fans. And yet it was like being at the stadium. Like it was that intense. And that's why this is so cool to me. Like so many people had so much skin in the game, but they were living and dying on every play. And you're like, yes, this is what makes it cool that we can do this now. Like we can create this.
You know what's funny from the standpoint of getting, if I take away Buffalo from the last 2, well, we don't have to look at the totals. Just look at the sides of every game from a gambling perspective.
Yeah.
And outside of the Buccaneers, and they still could have won and covered or won and pushed, however, depending where you got the spread. Like literally every one of those games, the spread was entirely correct. Could have went either way in any situation, including when Tennessee had the ball last. They could have driven down for a field goal if you got it at 3, pushed. If it went to 3.5, 4, what have you, maybe you lose it or go to overtime and win it. Those were all possibilities, and it just, I don't know, it was kind of a weird weekend. And even with me, I had Buffalo in that game. Ultimately was upset, but like I was so into the game that I forgot about my bet, which is such a weird thing to say because that's what you care about the most. And it was amazing. It's one of the best games I've ever watched.
100%. Look, man, it was incredible, and that's all we can ask for. And I don't know what we're going to get next weekend now. Like I heard you a little bit this morning talking about how the faith that you have in the Chiefs, and I probably line up with you when it comes to that. They just look like a different animal right now. Like it really does come off like the regular season is just boring to them at this point. Like they become that team. We're bored. Wake us up when things matter, and we'll talk then. You know what I mean? Like
well, and I don't know they can get after the quarterback as good as the Titans did, but they're gonna hit him and they're gonna knock him down. They're gonna sack him plenty of times. The weird thing is that we don't have any concerns about their offense going up a Cincinnati defense, which is questionable at best. Because I think you can run and throw on them, and I assume that the Chiefs just do that. And the fact that the line went from 7 to 7.5 really quick, they typically don't come off those numbers that quickly, and that's what we saw. The other thing, the Rams have lost the last 6 in a row to the 49ers.
So wild,
they just have their number, and for whatever reason, they play them tough, and I think the Rams are in a trouble spot here.
Well, interesting. Well, of course, Jeremy will get those picks up as the week goes on at PressBoxOnline.com. You can check them out there. How much, if at all, did you guys talk about Wink Martindale this morning, by the way?
Quite a bit. I mean,
all right.
We had 2 separate half-an-hour blocks devoted to it today.
Okay, all right.
Where the Ravens did the Friday night news dump, which is frustrating. But you know, we still got the information. We talked about it today, and I don't know. Like when my producer texted me that when that came across the wire, I think I was leaving a basketball game I had just coached, and my phone went off, and I looked at it. And I immediately texted him back. I said, "You spelled Roman wrong. Like, what do you mean they let go of Wink? Like, I didn't think he was part of the problem. When we took phone calls this morning, I was surprised at how many people were happy with the decision. I, for one, wasn't. But, again, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors and if there was a difference in agreement and what they should be doing, philosophy, what have you. But now they're looking for somebody.
So I'm definitely not happy, right? Like, I by no means wanted to see Don Martindale lose his job. The only thing I could say is if internally they believe that his system puts too much stress on having to have a high-level secondary, like an extraordinarily good secondary, and that they need to do something that involves developing pass rushers more, I'll listen to that argument, right? Because I do think it's going to be tough, particularly if they end up paying Lamar Jackson to continually have such an extraordinarily high-level secondary on the field, right? And we can't ignore the pass rush thing. Like, we can't ignore watching Yannick Ngakoue and Matt Judon look like different guys in other places than they look like here. I'm not saying that made it wrong what he was doing. I'm not saying hell, it worked pretty well for a long time. But if projecting forward, they're internally saying it's going to be really hard we've already paid Marlon Humphrey. It's going to be very difficult for us to allocate a certain amount of money to making sure there's always a Marcus Peters on the other side, or there's always another, shut down type corner on the other side of the field. I could understand them saying, hey, as we make our plans for what this looks like with paying Lamar Jackson, we're going to have to go with a system that involves developing pass rushers more and us getting out of our third and fourth round picks what other teams are getting out of those guys.
And by the way, there's not a wrong answer in how to do it. Like, we had a big discussion, should the Ravens look at going back to a 4-3 instead of a 3-4 today? We also had a discussion of the same thing you were talking about with the pass rushers leaving. It's just they were, with Wink's philosophy and wanting to show these, I hate using exotic blitzes, but that's how it's always been described. These different blitzes, dropping guys into coverage, confusing quarterbacks. There are all types of things, and they've, even before Wink was here, they've asked guys like Terrell Suggs to be more complete players than just, and I hate calling them a one-trick pony, but, just getting after the quarterback. Like, here, 95% of the time I want you to pin your ears back and go get the quarterback. Don't worry about it. Setting the edge isn't key for you. You just get to the quarterback. And obviously that depends on which quarterbacks you're playing against, too, because guys that run the football extremely well, like the two we saw yesterday, Lamar, Russell Wilson, whoever you want to throw into that mix, you have to look at them a little bit differently and when you're rushing them. But the guys that went off and had success, it doesn't surprise me that happened elsewhere. And, if we go back to Judon versus Zadarius Smith, who are they going to keep? And they end up keeping Judon and Zadarius leaves, or go back to Terrell Suggs and Adalius Thomas. Like, all these decisions they've had to make over who they want to pay. I think those things do play into it, but I don't ultimately get concerned when a guy goes off and has a ton of success because they might be using him differently. I don't believe that there's a wrong answer to it. It's just philosophically what you've seen. And we've seen this for a while now, and it's worked quite a bit. They had all these injuries and it didn't work. And who knows, maybe Marcus Peters a cut next year. Maybe, there are talks of Brandon Williams not being around. So this defense could be getting revamped.
No question.
Some people have used the word rebuild, but revamped clearly.
All right, here's the one I got for you today.
Mm-hmm.
So I mentioned that. By the way, how deep are you into Ozark?
I have not watched the single
okay.
episode yet because my damn wife was working most of the
all
weekend.
All right, we'll save it.
And I promised to watch it with her.
We'll save it for next week.
Same here.
You haven't watched anything? All right, we'll save it for
situation.
next week. We'll talk about it next Monday. That's fine. We'll save it for then.
By the way, I would have finished it this weekend had I probably could have watched it, and that meant I would have to rewatch it.
I legitimately only got 2 episodes, right? But there's something that happened in one of them that I want to talk about, but we'll wait.
Does it ruin anything, or you can? I don't mind you telling me.
No, I'll tease. Okay. The way the first episode of the season starts, I just file that away. All right. Think about the way the first episode of the season starts, and when you watch, text me and we'll talk about it. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Because I'm knee deep into Euphoria, which my wife doesn't watch. And
our intern Lil Jordan was going on about that. Said a lot of attractive young women in various states of undress in that show.
Yes,
because when he first sold it to me as like a young person drama, I was like, Jordan, I'm out. That sounds terrible. And then he followed it up with, yeah, but like a lot of really good looking, and I'm like, oh, well, wait a second. That sounds just fine.
I feel like Sydney Sweeney's become the girls. Like, we need someone who's attractive, top heavy, and doesn't mind taking their clothes off. Who do we call? Let's call Sydney Sweeney. It works out well.
It'll be that show.
Yeah.
I want to talk about. So yesterday we're doing this event at the Live Casino Hotel, and at the end of the day, Rita's family came out, so I'm going to say goodbye to them. And you put on your big winter coat, right, to go outside, and I managed to knock over a glass in the process. And it shatters everywhere. And you know what this is like when a glass shatters somewhere. Like, it's a scene when that happens. And it made me think about, and this is a topic you and I don't think have discussed like this, your moment of destruction, be it in a drunken way or just something like what happened when we started this concept of Glenn Clark Radio. Kyle and I were actually working from Gary Stein's office at the time. And Gary Stein had 2 racks of bobblehead dolls. And you, of course, remember Kyle being a somewhat oafish man. He's a very large man. Kyle, at one point, stood up and legitimately managed to knock over both shelves of bobblehead dolls. It's one of the most alarming. I have seen a lot of things. I witnessed 30 bobblehead dolls all come crashing onto the ground at once and shatter and smash. And just be like, holy crap, that's thankfully Gary Stein's a very nice person and was not mad at Kyle and never made him. He's like, look, these were all giveaways from a radio station at some point. I'm not all that worked up about it. So I want your greatest moment of destruction in the thing that because I'm almost certain I'm going to win this contest, but then I remember you're you, and so I think there could be something.
I have two. I have one that's not a moment of destruction, but I thought it was going to. I didn't destroy anything, but I thought it was going to ruin something. And I'll tell you this brief story. I was in high school my senior year. I was captain. I played 4 years of tennis, and I was playing mixed doubles, and I was smitten with my partner. Like wanted to date her. We like flirting was going on, and then
it was a her. Oh, okay.
Yes, it was a her. I said mixed doubles to be fair. It was a she.
Yeah, I was confused.
But I went to serve and I ripped the loudest fart that all the other tennis matches. It was so loud, all the other tennis matches stopped.
Okay.
And then I thought everything was over.
Yeah, it ruined the moment, right? Yeah, of course.
And then I raised my hand. It clearly was me. Like I raised my hand and said, "That was me. Excuse me." And she never laughed so hard in her life that it actually gave me an in.
Okay.
So it wasn't destruction. But the one that stands out to me is at the Super Bowl. I'm literally bragging about not getting starstruck because people are around were acting like children. And, like the Jonas Brothers just walked by and it's some little girls like, oh, my God, I got to meet,
right.
I had grown men that were acting like that with football players around them. And I said, I don't get starstruck. And meanwhile, I'm looking over my shoulder. And as I'm walking, John Elway's walking next to me. And I immediately got starstruck as he's walking next to me. And I walked into a giant pyramid, like 1,000 Gatorades.
Oh!
And I knocked all of them over.
Oh, that's
like
tremendous.
The entire thing.
Awesome.
John Elway helped me up, and Igor Olshansky was sitting at a bar right next to the pyramid. And what did he say? He says, "Nice move, buddy," or whatever, with his Russian accent. So that's the only thing that comes to my mind.
Oh, no, that's tremendous.
Embarrassing.
That's tremendous. That is, obviously it didn't actually, you can pick up Gatorades. It didn't actually destroy them in any way, but it destroyed the pyramid. It destroyed someone's work. Definitely.
The only good thing about that is they didn't want me to touch a single Gatorade. They asked me to leave.
Like, get out. Don't put them back. Just get away. Get away. We'll deal with this problem.
Swimming in red G2 Gatorade.
Yeah, right. Paul, you got one?
So my best friend since I was 14.
Yeah.
He's still my best friend to this day. I always go over his house to watch football, and over his parents' house to watch football. Since I was 16 years old, we've been doing this.
Okay.
And I will, every single time I'm there, this happened like 4 times this year. I'll randomly just drop my beer. I could be sober as anything, and I'll just randomly just drop my beer on their carpet for no reason.
What the hell?
I don't do it on purpose. It just falls out of my hand for some reason. It never happens anywhere but in their house on their carpet, the same carpet, every single time. It's like this.
What do you do in that moment?
They might want to install hardwood floors.
Right?
Well,
or stop inviting Paul over.
Well, no, but they've even said, they love me like a son.
I understand that, but at a certain point.
Said to me, they're like, Paul, this carpet's so old. So many things have been spilled here because they have pets. But that's not the worst thing. I have a group of friends, and we did 10 straight years. My family owns a beach condo on 123rd Street, right overlooking the ocean.
The Valley family.
You peasants down there beneath us.
You know, we're at our beach condo. You enjoy your Ritz crackers.
So
we're gonna summer down the ocean.
Yeah.
For 10,
we're gonna host a polo match this summer at the beach condo.
That's basically how it goes. That's what it's like with our tennis rackets and our tied sweaters.
Right. Cucumber sandwiches.
But for 10 years in a row, myself and a group of friends would go down to the beach condo and we'd have a week of just debauchery, just drinking and having a great time. And there was one particular time.
Jeremy and I did the same thing at the Breezen Motel.
My buddy had one of those, those things. It's like a mini surfboard, and you have it on the rolling thing, and you have to keep your balance on it. You're kind of going back. And forth.
Sort of, yeah.
So he had one of those, and everybody was trying to use it, and they were trying to use it right next to this glass coffee table. And I'm like, all right, we've been drinking. Let me get this coffee table out of the way so people don't fall on this and break it, and also possibly die.
Yeah,
the not smart thing is that I had been drinking and decided I was going to pick it up, and how like you pick something up and try and carry it over your head. The glass wasn't attached, so as soon as I started to lift it up and flip it upside down, the glass falls out and shatters all over the floor.
That's what I'm looking for.
Luckily, nobody got cut up or anything like that, but the glass itself broke, and I had to spend like $280.
Yeah, you did.
Getting a new, because it's my parents' condo.
Oh, yeah. And you don't want them to know what you're doing down there.
Well, it's my mom's condo with her 2 brothers, and they were already apprehensive about me being down there with my friends anyway, and we did this for 10 years. I had to go to West Ocean City, find the glass cutter, and have them cut me a new piece of glass with the right dimensions, and I got the dimensions wrong by like a quarter of an inch.
Oh, and they knew.
So
they knew.
So,
the
well,
Valley family was very aware.
I'm honest to a fault. So, like, I told my mom what happened.
Oh.
You know what I mean? But and she was like, as long as you replace it, I think everybody will be okay. And I replaced it, and it was the wrong size. And they ended up just buying a new glass table.
Hey, Glenn, I don't know what you heard. All I heard was, Jeffrey, order a new glass tabletop and put it on Daddy's credit card.
100%. Oh, that's not the exact glass table we had before. Well, we'll just have to toss it into the ocean then.
It was made out of crystals.
Send it back home to the beach.
I know, right?
Yeah, poor me spending my summers in a beach
I know,
town
he didn't deserve any of that. He didn't deserve any of that, though. I definitely, when I was hungover one morning as a young man, I definitely did the bit where I left went to get gas and left the nozzle in the tank and started to drive away.
I did that.
And I don't know what happened to you. It ripped the hose clean out. There's gas spraying everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Mm-hmm. I say, well, you can't just get away with this. Like, there's no just driving away. Like, you're a problem now, sucker.
Someone caught up to me when I did it.
Did they? Okay, so I stop and realize, like, I don't know what's about to happen to me, but it ain't good. Like, I just know that's the case. And so I go back out, and I don't remember. I pull the nozzle out of the tank, and I hang it back up, and there's still gas spraying everywhere, just everywhere. And I'm like, I reeked of gas for like 3 days. I go into the little mini mart, and I say to the person who could not possibly care less that's working at the mini mart, hey man, I don't know if you saw, there was an incident. To which, thank God, the guy said, whatever, I'll deal with it, go. And I'm like, no, yes! I got his blessing. It's out. It's over now.
Because it's supposed to be like a couple $100, I think, to attach it back.
Oh, really?
Because I got lucky the same way you did. I drove off, but I was on, I'm assuming it was one of the newer models, and that they like readily detach from people that are idiots like you and I that do that.
Okay.
Just drive away with it in. So I'm driving off, and some guy jumps in front of my car, and he's like, hey, look, man. I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe I did that. And I take it out, and I'm like, well, I don't need this part. You guys can have this. Set of pumps.
Dude.
But I did go inside, and I talked to the lady. She's like, well, give me your information. And they never called me.
Oh, they didn't. The guy very clearly did not want to be there. Like, he had no interest he hated his job. And, like, thank God that was the case, because that was enough for my conscience to be clean. Like, all I needed was the guy to say, like, we'll deal with it. Just go. I'm like, thank you. I think it was Igor Oshansky, actually, who was working at the gas station that day.
Thank you for coming by.
All right, what's coming up on the Big Bag Morning Show this week?
Yeah, so obviously we'll be talking about the games that happened this week, more news with the Ravens, find out if anything happens with Greg Roman, and previewing the games this weekend. So lots of talk there, and I'm sure there'll be more and more stuff across the wire. We're waiting to hear what happens with Rodgers and Brady and all this other stuff. So we'll be discussing all that.
John Proctor, I walked out of a sliding screen door while it was closed, completely bent the frame, was drinking but not drunk at all. I think that's the worst for me. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good one. Not going to lie. That's pretty good.
I have a buddy who...
I could put together a top 10 list.
Yeah, right?
When we were on one of those beach trips, in the same day...
This would have been an I got 5 on it category, of course.
In the same day, he's walking down the street. We're walking down Coastal Highway on the sidewalk, and he's 6'5".
Yeah.
So he's walking. He walks by a telephone pole, and he's just tall enough that the first peg is middle of the forehead high.
Okay, but did that hurt the pole, or did it just hurt him?
Oh, it hurt him. His body kept going. His head went backwards.
Right.
And there were a bunch of really cute girls in the car.
I mean, so that's embarrassing. I'm not saying that's not embarrassing, but I mean like purely destructive. Like
the guy in the same night, later that night in the condo, didn't see that the glass door was closed.
Yeah.
And walked face first into the glass door and knocked it off the rails.
That's the play. Hey, Jeremy, I know it's been a half hour, but I screwed up. You want to say something about Mo's birthday on Wednesday?
Oh yeah, so Mo's birthday is this Wednesday. And I know Anne Arundel County Public Schools are doing it's Mo Gabba Day, so kids get to wear, like if you have a uniform requirement, you get to wear something Orioles, Ravens related, or purple and orange, which were his two favorite colors. So, and I think a group of us are going to meet up at Jimmy's and just kind of celebrate his night. I know they're doing something for him as well with his meal, his favorite fried shrimp. So I'm sure we'll all go there, have some of that, and just have a good time and get together. But yeah, this Wednesday's his birthday, and then we've got those other talking bobbleheads that'll be coming out sometime next month. But I try to tell people this with shipping and everything going on. I mean, if you've been to a grocery store, you can look at it and go, what the hell is happening?
It's tough time. It's tough time. No
Everything's
question.
backed up. So we'll see when they come in, but they're supposed to be in next month.
Well, I am to understand that I will be seeing you on Wednesday, in fact.
Yeah, I'm coaching basketball, so as soon as I'm done the game, I'm going to fly over there and try to spend some time.
My wife and I are going to come over and hang out with everybody, and I appreciate it. That was very nice.
Cool.
Lynn sent me a very nice message, and I appreciated that. So it's an honor to be a part of something like that, man.
Yeah, we'll celebrate the big guy. And look, it's funny because I've been thinking about him a lot, man, because some kid, you talk about a kid that has a grip on the world. Like anytime you get frustrated, anytime you get down, and I say this all the time, it's weird kind of using him for inspiration, but that's how he always had it and always wanted it. Like, he knew people looked at him saying, man, how can he be so positive when things are going bad? And you try to do it each and every day. It's not easy, but it's definitely a way to look at things.
Yeah, Wednesday we're going to celebrate Mo. It's bittersweet, man, but I'm glad you guys the work you're doing to continue to honor his legacy. It means a lot. At Jeremy Conn 1057 on Twitter is how you follow him. Picks every day, PressBoxOnline.com, and the Big Bad Morning Show every morning on 1057 The Fan. Love you, pal. Let's talk to you next Monday.
Thanks, man. I'll see you guys.
Jeremy Conn checking in with us here on GCR. I always have wondered if they attempted to track me down afterwards, if the owner of the gas station found out and was like, yeah, that's not okay, and attempted to find the video, and I just always wondered if there was how that went from there, because again, my conscience was clean.
If the owner came by and they had that issue, you're kind of absolved at that point, because the guy who's working there was like, go ahead and go.
Well,
You're
I don't
fine.
know.
So
From a legal standpoint, I don't know if it's that easy. If they could track down my license plate number,
well, it might be. I mean, you could find an attorney who could litigate to the.
Maybe I don't. But I was also 20 at the time, or
this
something
guy
like
said,
that.
"Get out of here,"
right?
and you were good to go.
I did always wonder how that.
That guy probably got fired, but
yeah, but I don't think he cared. I just don't think he cared.
He was probably looking for reason. This is it. This is my out.
Yep, I'm gone. Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil helps extend engine life. Visit your local Jiffy Lube service center. Ask for Mobil 1. Tidbit, Tubular, and Jaylen Smith on the way. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The latest issue of Press Box is available now, and it's our very special annual Best of issue. On the cover, we celebrate Justin Tucker as our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, honoring his historic on-field achievements, but also the unprecedented relationship he shared with Baltimore. Inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of 2021, including Cedric Mullins' incredible season and the dominance of local Paralympic athletes. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farms stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
Need to hone your computer skills to boost your career? Or maybe you want an IT certification. CCBC Continuing Education has the courses and programs you need for a career in the computer field. And it's all tuition free. From the basics to specialized training, we have the classes you need, from hardware to programming to cybersecurity and so much more. It's your choice. It's your career. Call 443-840-4700 or visit ccbcmd.edu/computer training.
Window Depot Baltimore provides the highest quality Pro Via windows, doors, and siding for all budgets. The best is finally affordable. Call them today for a free in-home consultation at 410-941-3499. They also offer Zoom and FaceTime consultations in an effort to practice social distancing. A proud sponsor of the Tyus Bowser Show, you can find out more at WindowDepotBaltimore.com.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a wide range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Toyota to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
If you miss anything, don't forget that you can find whole shows later on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon Podcasts. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
All right, winding down because I'm going to get down to the helping up mission to take all this stuff. And a huge thank you to Mike and Ben from Blue Line K9 who have been in here this morning with Charlie Colson. Like, I feel terrible because I've done nothing. They're literally, we have an entire conference room worth of stuff. They're packing it all up, loading it, and taking it down, and I've done nothing whatsoever. I've just been sitting here chatting with Paul.
Maybe they tried to come earlier, but the ramp was closed and they couldn't.
Yeah, right.
They had to come during the show.
Love it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate them. Love Blue Line K9. Thank you to Mike. Thank you to Ben. And, of course, thank you to Charlie Colson for their hard work making this happen. All right, tidbit. First of all, I need to remind everybody, Underdog Fantasy Football, if you missed it over the weekend, they did a 1-yard prop with Deebo Samuel. That was a free one that you could have just picked up, played, parlay that with something else, and made some money. They'll almost certainly do another one for championship weekend. Sign up, download the Underdog app, go to UnderdogFantasy.com, use the code PRESSBOX, and you make your first deposit up to $100. It will be matched with free money for you to play with. And they've got all sorts of fun games. I know there's only a few football games left, but even after football season's over, basketball, hockey, and whenever baseball starts, hopefully if baseball starts, there'll be baseball games as well. Underdog Fantasy Football. Tidbit brought to you today by the best of issue of PressBox, which is available right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find PressBox, or read it all. PressBoxOnline.com/best of. Justin Tucker is our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year as we celebrate Mo's birthday this week. Go pick that up today, the print issue of PressBox.
All right, so last night Gabriel Davis put up the greatest performance by a wide receiver in the history of the NFL postseason. With his 19-yard touchdown reception with 13 seconds left, Davis set the all-time single postseason game record with his fourth receiving touchdown. The reception also put him past Tom Fears for the most receiving yards in a playoff game.
I think I didn't know it was Tom Fears. Definitely, I'm a big Tom Fears guy over here. Tom fears no one.
I had to include him in the tidbit just in case. I didn't want you to not to get him.
Oh,
but so
you think this guy over here wasn't getting Tom Fears?
You know a lot. Yeah. So the reception put him past Tom Fears for the most receiving yards in a playoff game by a player with at least 3 touchdown receptions, 201 yards to Fears' 198 yards. In NFL postseason history, 6 other receivers have caught 3 touchdowns while also recording at least 140 yards in a single game. Who are they?
I have no earthly idea.
So I'll tell you that the furthest away dates are 1968, 1991, and 1995. Everything else has happened since 2000.
Isaac Bruce.
No.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald in 2008 NFC Championship game, 152 yards with 3 touchdowns.
Randy Moss.
No.
Torrey Holt.
No.
Reggie Wayne.
No.
Marvin Harrison.
No.
Steve Smith.
No.
Julio Jones.
No. Would it help if I told you that the same player did it twice in 2 different Super Bowls?
Nope, not going to help me at all. But thank you for telling me that. I just don't remember. I just don't have any recollection of it. Michael Irvin.
No.
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice is a guy who did it twice. He had 148 yards and 3 touchdowns in Super Bowl 24, and Jerry Rice did it in Super Bowl 29, 149 yards and 3 touchdowns. So you have 4 left.
How about?
It doesn't have to just be a receiver. It could be a tight end.
Rob Gronkowski.
It changed it to Ron Gronkowski.
Oh, old Ronnie Gronkowski.
In the 2011 AFC divisional round, 145 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Tyreek Hill.
I'm just gonna. You're never gonna get these other guys.
I'm never gonna get these other guys.
You might.
Are these all older guys now?
One happened in 2000, one happened in 2009, and one happened in 1968.
1968. 1968. I can't even. I'm trying to think of any receiver that I knew of that was playing in 1968. Fred Biletnikoff.
Shut up. 180 yards and 3 touchdowns in the 1968 AFL divisional round.
All right, I don't care about the others now. Go ahead, just tell me.
Willie Jackson in the 2000 NFC wildcard round.
You're right about that.
142 yards. And Sidney Rice in the 2009 NFC divisional round, 141 yards. And 3
could have been here
touchdowns.
for 3 days without me getting to Sidney Rice.
I knew this one was going to be harder, but I didn't want to ignore what Gabriel Davis did.
It was amazing.
I had to put him in here.
No question. Proctor, sorry, I missed yours. You guessed Driver, Swan, and Keyshawn. Well, you're 0 for 3. So and Randy Moss. So you're 0 for 4. I was like 4 for 30, so I did pretty well.
Sounds like my college batting average.
God, that's brutal. All right. Tubular is brought to you today by Live Casino and Hotel. Man, we're going to be doing more events. We're going to be doing we don't know all the day. Yesterday was so great. I had such a good time hanging out. It's such a cool place. You're going to want to go for Championship Sunday. You're going to want to be there for the big game. And you just want to make sure you get your table. So events, like right now, if you're thinking about it, if you're saying to yourself, man, that sounds like a way that I might want to spend the big game is hanging out, and just email events@sportssocialmd.com. That's what you need to do. And say, I'm interested in reserving a spot for the big game, and you can get your spot reserved that way. And then if you haven't been yet, 51 self-service kiosks, great offers for same-game parlays. If you lose, they're throwing you in, drawing for a 75-inch TV. Just get down to the FanDuel Sportsbook. It's now open inside Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Here's what's coming up. Totally tubular this evening. A lot of college hoops action. This is a day where a lot of makeup games that were canceled in early January or late December. Loyola Colgate, 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. ESPNU's got Morgan and Norfolk State at 7:30. Next Level Sports, which apparently you can watch on your TV, Howard and Coppin State at 7:30. I don't know where to find it, but, you've got the internet. Flow Sports for Towson, Delaware at 7. The rest of the college basketball, find at glennclarkradio.com. Australian Open coverage continues tonight on ESPN2 and ESPN+. NBC Sports Washington Golden Knights Capitals. It's also on NHL Network and the rest of the country at 7. Jazz Suns at 9 on NBA TV. USA Network for WWE Monday Night Raw at 8. Some non-sports highlights.
So, American Dad at 10 o'clock then on TBS. We don't usually include the Oxygen Network.
No, not normally.
But the murder of Gabby Petito, Truth, Lies, and Social Media. That's at 9 o'clock on the Oxygen Network.
Quite a well-known story there. That Gabby Petito story.
And then a lot of stuff and things,
right.
really, but not too much. The Gilded Age series premiere on HBO Max and 3 Songs for Benazir. That's a Netflix documentary that starts. Have you watched any of Archive 81?
No, I saw you tweet about it. What's it about?
So.
You got to give me the quick Cliff Notes version because I got to go help these guys.
Okay, the Cliff Notes version is a guy. He's restoring old, burnt up tapes, and it's this weird thing where, like, there's a woman who dies in a fire, or maybe she didn't die in a fire, but it happened in 1994, and now it's 2022, and it's just like this back and forth thing, and it ends up, you don't realize when you start watching, by episode 4, you realize it's kind of like a horror thing, but not a horror thing. It's more suspense and drama.
Okay.
I have to really explain it to you, but it's very good.
All right, yeah, I'm listening. I
got sucked in until like 1:30 last night.
I'm listening. All right, thanks today to Bradley and Nikki Bozeman. Thanks to Anthony Levine Sr., Jeremy Conn, and you're about to hear from Jaylen Smith. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the
Archives.
tab at glennclarkradio.com. On the program tomorrow, Patrick Stevens, Stuff and Things.
Stuff and Things.
Very good. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including CCBC, Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, ExxonMobil, Great 8's Memorabilia, Live Casino and Hotel. Underdog Fantasy Football, Duffy's Garage in Baldwin, Window Depot, your local Toyota dealer, and buyatoyota.com, as well as MyBookie. Thanks to Paul Valley. Follow him on Twitter, at Paul Valley III. Follow us, at Glenn Clark Radio, on Twitter and Instagram. Have a great Monday night. Go all the local hoops teams. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks, too. Had to do this a little bit earlier because of his schedule, but an opportunity to catch up with Jaylen Smith right here on GCR.
Man, it's a pleasure to have our next guest back on the program. Of course, we've talked to him basically in every stage of his career, right? We talked to him when he was in high school. We talked to him when he was in college. And we've talked to him since he's been in the NBA. And this season, boy, has he been blowing up for the Phoenix Suns, having a monster year. He is the pride of Mount St. Joe and the University of Maryland. He is Mr. Sticks himself, Jaylen Smith, and he's back with us on GCR. Jaylen, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat again, dude. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Man, it's so good to chat with you, brother, and it's great to see the success that you have had this season. Can you kind of take me through? I imagine it's been a whirlwind, right? Like, you know, there's been a lot going on. You get a lot of opportunity with some guys banged up over these last couple of months. What's it been like for you to be able to show the country what Jaylen Smith is all about?
It's been amazing. You know, pretty much everybody talks about it a lot. Opportunity is really rare in the NBA, and whenever you're given it, you got to make the most of it. And that was just my main goal going into it, just showing that I can play and that I belong in the NBA and that I was picked where I was for a reason. So, I mean, it was just going out there and just trying to just prove myself again, and just prove. Like, pretty much that's the main goal, was just to prove myself.
Jaylen, did you ever get down at all? Like, did you ever have any amount of self-doubt whatsoever when you weren't getting minutes? And, you know, I think we all know what was going on with your contract. Did you ever deal with any of that, or were you always internally quite confident? Look, the moment that I get the opportunity, I know what I'm going to be doing.
Oh, no, I never let it get to me because I know my ability. I mean, I wouldn't be in the NBA if I wasn't good enough. So, I mean, pretty much it was just continuing to keep working and not trying to let the outside things affect me how I present myself. So, and pretty much the main goal, even though obviously everything with the contract and stuff like that, it was just coming in and just doing my job and making sure that I'm getting better every day.
No, I completely understand that, right? And look what happens when you get the opportunity. You know, you end up taking huge advantage of it. You know, Jaylen, the whole situation seems so fascinating to me, right? Because you're in a place where, my God, what a team to be a part of, right? And, like, what incredible guys to be around. And yet, right, unfortunately, the side effect of that is because it's such a deep team, you know, the opportunity didn't come the way it might have been had you been in other places. What are the good and the bad of that? Like, how do you handle sort of, you know, being on such a good team, but knowing that, like, you know, there's a problem that comes along with being on a team that's so good and so deep?
I mean, like you said, it has its goods and its bads. I mean, probably the bad would be, like, obviously, opportunity is very slim, and you have pretty much little room for error since it's such a deep team.
Right.
But the good thing is, like, I got so many great vets around me. Like, how many people can say they got to play with Chris Paul and got to learn from him? And I played with an NBA champion like JaVale McGee and just being able to learn and pick his brain. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a lot more good than it is bad because it's going to help me for the long run in my career.
Like, you probably, you know, watched the NBA Finals growing up, and then you got to live the NBA Finals last season, right? Like, I mean, it's a crazy situation to be in, obviously. It just, there comes with a cost. Let's talk a little bit more about that. Jaylen Smith is with us here on GCR. You bring up some of those guys that you get to be around, man. I know you and I have talked before. I worked in Phoenix for 2 years a long time ago, and I had so much joy being around Steve Nash that I'm still a Suns fan. So this has been joyful for me. The Chris Paul experience, I have realized that even I have not given him nearly enough credit for the true extent of his greatness. What has it been like for you to be around that dude? What have you most learned from being around an icon of this game in Chris Paul?
Pretty much just the way his mind works when he's playing, like being able to read the game, being able to see how the defense is, being able to see people's tendencies, and just being able to obviously using that over all the years that he's learned and just continuing to incorporate it in his game and just having that winning aspect because everywhere he goes, he's been a winner, and I've been a winner everywhere I went too. So, I mean, just being able to have that and being able to learn from that, it's just been an amazing experience for me.
You ever, like, have a moment where you, like, do you marvel at him at all? Like, and I know you're a teammate, right? Like, you got a job to do, but have there ever been moments where you've been like, holy crap, This dude is pushing 40 years old, and look at what he just did.
Oh yeah, pretty much every game. I mean, obviously, Chris probably one of the oldest point guards in the NBA, and still being able to move like he was 20 is just amazing. So I mean, yeah, I pretty much marvel at it all the time.
It's insane, man. It's absolutely. I mean, it's just totally nuts, and it's so much fun to watch. You know, I know there's been a lot made with you and the playing the two different positions, right? Playing the 4 versus playing the 5. You know, how much transition has there been for you, and how comfortable have you been trying to, you know, prove that you can do, I guess, both things, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a process. You know, pretty much been playing the 5 my whole life, and then I played some 4 in college and in high school, but that's completely different than the NBA 4 position. So, I mean, I'm adjusting to it well. I'm just still trying to continue to get reps at it, just to continue to try to improve at it, because it's going to be very crucial for my career. Because at the end of the day in the NBA, if you can play more than one position, there's a lot more opportunity for you, and that's just something I'm trying to learn.
Does it ever, you know, when you have the ball, does it ever make you like think, like, do you ever find yourself sort of saying like, well, I mean, as a post player, this is what I'm supposed to do, but you know, maybe the defense is playing me that I should be jumping. Like, does it ever, when you're on the floor, do you think about it? Do you change your decision making based on which position you're playing?
Oh yeah, it's a lot more. How do I say it? It's a lot more, like you said, it's a lot more decision making that comes with it.
Sure.
Because with the 4 position, it's a lot more spacing and a lot more open cuts and things like that. And then with the 5, it's pretty much a lot more rolling and reading, and then trying to find certain angles. So I mean, it's a different read for every position, and every position is not going to pretty much be the same as the other.
He is Jaylen Smith. He's with us here on GCR. Is he in the midst of a very successful season with the Phoenix Suns? Jaylen, obviously, you know, back this way, some huge news. I know how close you were with Coach Turgeon, and by the way, before the season, he called into the show and ended up railing for about 5 minutes about your contract situation, like you know, you were his own son. It was really quite funny. You know, what's that been like for you, watching that from afar? You know, knowing that you care both about the guys on the team and the program, but also clearly, I know you care a lot about Mark Turgeon.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. Ever since what happened the day after I texted Coach Turgeon, just have a conversation with him and just tell him that I was still supporting him no matter what. And pretty much, I mean, obviously, I still keep in contact with all the guys on the team. I get to watch them since we're on a 2-hour difference, so the games come on a lot earlier here. And I mean, pretty much just watching it afar. I mean, you miss it a lot, but at the end of the day, you know, he had to move on at some point, and I still support from afar.
I understand everything you say. You know, Jaylen, were you frustrated at all with the way that he was treated? You know, did you deal with any? There's been a lot made about that, and did you deal with any of those frustrations with you know what the expectations were, and maybe some of the things that were said about Mark Turgeon?
Oh yeah, I mean, I truly understand why he did it, because I experienced Maryland fans. I know what they are about, and I know how fair weather they can get. But I mean, at the end of the day, you got to choose your mental health over anything. And if they was hounding him for a long time, and I didn't like it either. Tried to speak up on it most of the time, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really do much. And I mean, he had a family to look after, and people don't realize that it's his job and that he's not out there trying to please everybody. So I mean, at the end of the day, it was tough what happened to him.
Will you still support Maryland moving forward? Like, does it impact at all, like, your support for who the next coach will be and anything like that?
Oh no, I'll always support. I mean, it's my college. It's the college I went to, so, and I'll always support.
I think it's tough, right? It's awkward, isn't it? It's a little bit awkward, right, when something like this happens, and it's, you know, you don't know what the situation's going to be. But I presume, you know, you had a pretty good time while you were at Maryland, right? Like, there was some.
Yeah.
I would like to hope that there was a lot of pleasantness that would carry with you moving forward.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Maryland was probably one of the best experiences of my life. I'm forever grateful that I got to go there.
I'm glad to hear that. Jaylen, how much have you stayed in touch with Daryl since he's made the jump and he's been out really having a nice season at Marquette?
I talked to Daryl almost, I say, like every other day or every other week. It depends on my schedule sometimes.
I mean, he's really stepped up the game a little bit, scoring double digits, right? Like, he's really kind of asserted himself making that jump.
I mean, yeah, Daryl could always do that, but at the end of the day, Daryl was always a team player, so he'll sacrifice no matter what just in order to win.
Yeah. No, I totally get that, man. Like, it sort of feels like, this was an opportunity for him to do something like that, right? I mean, to show a little bit more what he's capable of in that way going out there.
Mm-hmm. It definitely did.
I mean, that's, and that's all you can ask for is take advantage of an opportunity like that. Like, sort of like you're taking advantage of, or you've been taking advantage of the opportunities that you've been getting over the course of the last few weeks, right?
Yeah, so like that.
Jaylen, the West, right? Like, it's daunting, but you guys have to feel pretty good about where you are at the moment. How much has what happened last year kind of internally driven your team and the belief that you should have won the NBA title and that this has to be the year that you guys go win the NBA title?
I was driven a lot. I mean, nobody likes losing, especially in the NBA, and then especially in the NBA Finals. If you make it all the way that far, you want to win. You don't want to. You're not aiming to lose. And then just having to deal with that whole off season just left a bad taste in our mouth. So we just pretty much work every day towards to try to get back to where we was.
I'd love to hear that, man. As a Suns fan, it was heartbreaking, man, but it was special, and boy, I can only imagine how great it's going to be. All right, Jaylen Smith, of course, at the Jaylen_Smith on Twitter. Jaylen, remind everybody where they can follow you on Instagram.
They can follow me on Instagram at the same handle, the Jaylen_Smith.
At the Jaylen_Smith. Jaylen, so happy for you, man. I hope the minutes can continue to flow your way. I know you guys are a little bit more back together, but I hope the minutes don't go away for you, brother, and looking forward to seeing what it is you're going to do and that team's going to do moving forward. Appreciate you as always. Thanks for taking a couple of minutes. Let's talk again soon, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.